Water. I mean, the guy's done a good job.
Experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just,
Backgammon. You don't want a fence.
it's good.
Neil, ready when you are. Neil, ready when you are.
Yeah, I mean,
I like-
it's 6:59.
Dude, I'm totally
If they're gonna-
totally harassing. But I like going back to the throwback here.
Better than. Where are you on Muir Road? Oh, I don't either. On Muir Road, where are you on that?
I don't like that at all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's city council meeting. If everybody can please rise and recite the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Member was.
Nasal drip.
Here,
Here.
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 Item 3, reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting and closed sessions held Monday, April 14. Are there any comments on the minutes as submitted?
I move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
That's, we don't need it. Seeing none, minutes will be approved as submitted. Item 4, presentation from the city's Grosse Pointe Public Library Representative, Mr. Allen. You can come on up and give us a report. We appreciate you coming here this evening.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, almost completed. Another point that most foundational documents of American democracy. PowerPoint presentation. So,
Magna Cartas and PowerPoint, right? Equal.
Anyways, so, as I said, my name is Bob Allen. I am the president of the Library Board of Trustees. More precise, for purposes of tonight's meeting, I am represented by the library board. And it's so, the period beginning with us looking at early bonds of the pandemic, only to emerge to confront and deal with the renovation West branch and the central branch. And now from the past year, we've been fashion libraries, checking out books, doing a lot more. That's what we're going to cover in these highlights. I'll try not to repeat the slides, but I don't trust myself to go through it. Try to provide relevant narrative where I guess I do the library director. So after we go through the presentation, from happens in the payments. But why don't we proceed with what we have to? So let's begin. The Wayne State Scholarship, the foundation, this is an initiative of theirs. Working with them, we were able to establish a scholarship. The genesis of this was Vivian McDonald, who was a longtime patron of the list. She gave the foundation $156,000, or more than that, actually, but we used $156,000 that contribution to start a scholarship program at Wayne State University in their library informational sciences. So it provides $1,000 scholarship annually, and as part of that, it also an internship program. So we currently have our first intern there, William Kurtz. Then we began. I know that everybody's familiar with the renovation of the central branch, which was done for practical reasons. It added children's area, a drive-up window, and elevator and fire suppression. But it is also nice looking. Report that's been an honor for the Huron Valley chapter of the American Muslim Department. Now, yes, here we added some accessibility features on the website. So now it's more than just website. You know, reading, you can change the font size, the color, you can read the website text aloud to you. Translating it for more than 100 languages, and there's even access to the dictionaries and source. And that frankly is just a start of the features available on the website. So I can tell you what they want. I loved it. Next, actually, this is the one that I'm particularly interested in. As some of you know, probably since it's too often, I'm the son of a librarian, so I have a very emotional attachment to the library. But in the 4 years I've been serving on the board, I'm struck by the fact that how much of what we do is we analyze stats and data figures. And I think some of these are particularly interesting. Last year we served 257,000 patrons. More than 737,000 items were circulated. 313,000 ebooks, audiobooks, and movie downloads. I think I have a fact sheet that says that 40% of our materials were digital as opposed to the traditional books. In addition, we had $355,000 website, 355,000 website visits. We have this is interesting. 403,000 logins to the library Wi-Fi. That's about 1,100 logins a day. And you notice we have 331 live 30. Oh my God, having trouble tonight. 331,000 cardholders checked out physical items last year. We had the meeting community needs. In addition, we have a summer reading program. The last summer reading program we did last year, it was roughly 2,200 participants. Last November, they devoted an entire month to all kinds of teachers, speeches, and speakers about dinosaurs. So apparently dinosaurs are not in fact extinct. An author by the name of Jessica Nabongo, she wrote a book. Basically, she went to every country in the world and wrote a book. And we had her come in and speak. Well, the community interest was such that more than 300 people signed up. And we had to move the venue. And in fact, the city funded was very frequent. Next. This is one that's I went to books on the Laker office point. But these events are just wildly popular. They sold out last year. Just had one on Saturday. It sold out, frankly, before I could even get a ticket. I had to ask the foundation director if I considered it. But if you've never been to one, it's fascinating to listen to authors talk about their writing process and how much of it they research and reporting, and the engagement is just striking. It's just a wonderful experience just to be a part of it. Next. Of course, we have our technology where these issues, challenges that have. You may have read in the free press that Wayne County has paid us $139,000 fines. What happened was there was transition from one worker to the next, and apparently they didn't transition effectively. So we are currently working with our legal counsel and the other libraries affected to get this money as expeditiously as possible. The second one is fairly recent. As some of you may have heard, there have been a number of executive orders issued from Washington, one of which affects us. It would eliminate the Institute of Museum and Library Services. They provide money to the state of Michigan for, basically it's the interlibrary loan program. And what that means is that if I'm a patron and I see, say, the book Lincoln versus Davis, it's not in the Grosse Pointe Library. Well, the librarian can go online and find that book was in the Genesee County Public Library. They can send it to Grosse Pointe, and all of a sudden the Grosse Pointe Public Library is the issue. Last year, I think 14,000 items Grosse Pointe features their 14,000 items through the interlibrary. They also provide database services. Up next. So we talked about the strong financial results. As you can see, revenue and expenses are in line. Our auditor came back with a modified audit opinion. We have the breakdown here of here. And you know, most of our revenue comes from property taxes and state and county aid. And roughly 47% of our expenditures are for salaries and benefits, and 26% for debt service. Next. So that's the thank you. One thing I wanted to add in closing, you know, I throw a lot of numbers at you, and I do have a bunch of numbers because I have to go through every month of financial assessment. So one I want to leave you with. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Net Promoter Score. It's where basically organizations ask their customers, you know, would you recommend this for your colleagues? Now, generally, a lot of businesses, they get into the 30s, the bad ones get in the 20s, the good ones get in the 70s. I used to work at the Detroit Athletic Club, the number one athletic club in America, and they had a Net Promoter Score of in the 80s. So for the past 12 months, Grosse Pointe Public Library's Net Promoter Score was 93.
Wow.
So what does that mean? I mean, obviously, it means people like us, but as a consequence, you know, we have patrons who one day, who knows, may give us $250,000 to start a scholarship program or something else. That's the value. That's why the numbers are important. That's really all I have to say for now. If you have questions you'd like to ask us that I can answer, that maybe just can have here.
Any questions from council or comments? Beth?
You had one. Thank you for your presentations. It's always enlightening to see what our libraries have done. And as a patron of our libraries, it's just an outstanding service. And the authors form is just, that has just been overwhelming. I mean, nationwide renowned authors become. I am concerned about the chart there with your debt service. What was the percentage on that debt service again? Looked awfully high, I thought. 26%.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you elaborate a little bit on that debt service and how you think you're gonna bring it down?
Well, we're on a repayment schedule, and when we issued the bonds to do the capital improvements on the building, we would have confidence that we have the ability to pay the debt. But we took on that debt in order to complete the improvements for the buildings that we were told by the community were needed, such as making the central library fully accessible and compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, adding fire suppression. Adding the second means of egress from the second floor, so if there ever is a fire, people will have a way to get out. So we felt that it was a good investment.
Yeah, and I'm not questioning that. I'm just wondering how you're gonna be able to reduce that, because you can't reduce it if it's a millage thing. That must have to, some other ways that you gotta pay for that, right?
Well, we are funded by we have two millages, and so our plan will be to renew millage that does get renewed periodically, but not to be consistent.
Thank you.
Sierra?
Jessica, it's my understanding that you all have a lab, the library has a
Yes.
lab. If you could elaborate on that a little bit, as well as the podcast room, if that is not okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that was another part of our capital improvement program. We took a room that was it started as a storage room in the basement of the Woods Ranch. It turned into the Friends Used Bookstore for a few years. And then we did our renovations, we turned it into what we call the Dream Lab, which is a maker space. And it has 3D printers, laser engravers, all kinds of equipment where people can experiment with manufacturing and creating prototypes and artistic things. And there is a professional recording studio in that space, and it gets used a lot do music lessons in there, they record podcasts, they make demo tapes. So it's small, but it's getting used a lot and it's really been beneficial.
And what about the Dreamland? The
So
usage?
it is used constantly and we're always bringing in different groups. We have a dedicated librarian to that space, Adam Kapar, and he has different, kind of special times. He has a senior drop-in time. He does programs for kids, for different scout groups. So it's in use a lot.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm, number one, thank you for sharing this information. I think it's really helpful for the community to hear about all the offerings of the library. Things that struck me is I think we often think of libraries as places of books. What came through there is it's a lot more than books now, in addition to the Grosse Pointe Rotary Tool Library, which I'm very fond of, but there's lots of amazing resources at the library. I do want to highlight, because of that debt service, how important renewing the existing millage is going to be. I grew up in a community a little bit larger than all of the points combined, a little over 40,000 people. And we were in a township level library. We had a single large library branch. It's pretty remarkable that a community the size of Grosse Pointe, the Grosse Pointes have 3 libraries. And that's a great resource for the community, but we're going to have those great resources. We have to make sure we fund them. So I'm glad to hear that you're considering that. And obviously, there's lots of other needs. So it's also good to hear that you're thinking about potentially coming in at the same rate. Sure, you'll deal with that when you come to us again. But thank you for that kind of transparency.
Anybody else?
Just to say, I think I kind of had my fill of major renovations.
So you walked into my question. What is your fund balance versus your yearly budget as a percentage?
Our fund balance currently is right around 9 million, and our budget for the current year is about 8 million, so we're just over 100% for our fund balance. But it's a little misleading because our taxes come in winter months, around January tax bill, and the fiscal year starts in July. So we're always using our fund balance in the first half of the fiscal year. But we have.
So normalized, what is it? 70%, 80%?
It's a healthy balance.
Any capital projects on the horizon right now?
Major, there's always things that arise. We actually just had the opportunity to join in the city's paver repair program from Central. Our boilers at Woods need to be replaced. So there's always things that are needed, but no more major changes on the horizon.
So yes, everything was great today. I'm so glad you guys are doing fantastic. When I started on council, that wasn't the case. And you've really taken the money that our citizens have contributed and done remarkable things with it. And I applaud you for that. And yes, a renewal might be appropriate, but since I think the citizens approved it, we've always charged the millage rate. And you have the ability to charge less in any given year. Have you ever thought of doing that? And we're getting a lot of millage fatigue. School board's coming for more. Wayne County RESA is coming for more. RESA, whatever. A lot of different community groups that Hallam just got approved. Right now, you have no capital projects. You're 80% fund equity when we are at 25 or 26, 27%. And that's what our Plant Moran say that's a very good. I mean, we probably are leading municipalities in the mid-20s, and you guys are way up there. Has there ever given any thought in the year where you don't have a capital project on the horizon to give these good citizens who've done great work and helped the libraries become what they are, give them a year or two respite by reducing the millage you're charging in any given year?
Yeah, we definitely look at it every year and do projections and like that. So that's always a possibility. And it was in the past less than the full authorized amount has been levied. You are correct. In recent years, that's not been the case, but my predecessor was a little more conservative and, we charged the very minimal that they could to make their minimum expenses, and the services they reflected that.
So any plans to give some relief until you get some more capital projects going when you have a very healthy fund balance?
Not for the next fiscal year. We haven't, the board hasn't approved the budget yet.
I'm just asking that you consider that going into the future. not asking to short yourselves, but that's a, like I said, it's a very healthy fund balance. We discussed this with the other mayors of the Grosse Points, and we all are trying to obviously do more often with less. And just to continue to go through this without thought about how we can do things better when there's in some ways an infinite amount of money coming into this village that supports you so highly that you have such a high fund balance. That I think it behooves the thought that maybe 1 or 2 years we could give something back to the citizens who have supported us. Because as the property values go up, even at the same millage rate, you are collecting more money. So the millage rate continues to get you more money because our property values increase. So, please take a look at your budgets and where they're going, because you are getting more cash because the property values have gone up. So.
We are also subject to the same heavily rollbacks that the other municipalities are as well, but I see the point.
Yeah, I don't know how close do you think you are to Headley Cap?
Well, we get a rollback rate every year, 6 months.
John?
No,
Okay, I'll take
I
it.
made my points. Thank you.
Anybody else?
You got mine.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. Good luck. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn as the city council and to convene as the Board of Zoning Appeals?
So move.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are now convened as the Board of Zoning Appeals. Item 5A, consideration of a variance request for 139 Ridge Road. Will the applicant and or his or her representative approach the podium? Give us name and address, please.
Good evening, council. Stephen Bates, I'm attorney on behalf of Jacob Philiad. He's the applicant and owner of the proposed project on Ridge Road.
Okay, fire away. Just know that we read everything, but a good summary is always welcome for the audience.
Appreciate that. Thank you again, council. Yes, the application and the summary pretty much speaks for itself. Though there are a couple variances actually being requested, they are de minimis in value. There's not a lot of quote unquote big asks here, even though there are multiple requests. If it's okay with everybody here, I kind of like to break them down one lot at a time. I would like to start with lot 60, which is the current vacant lot, which where the new single family house is being proposed to be built and erected. The first variance request is for the lot coverage. This is a very small 0.8% variance request as far as the total approximate coverage of the lot, approximately 23 square feet. The next one is the front yard paved drive. As you see in the picture, it's a single family garage with the front entrance next to it. And with these setbacks on this particular street, as you see on the next variance, there's not much room there. So we actually went from a 2-car garage down to a 1-car garage for this exact reason. And in that respect, we're asking for a 7.3% variance as it pertains to the front yard paved drive. That is in line with a lot of the other homes in the area and directly on that house, would not stick out at all. And that leads us to the next request variance for the front setback. That's a 4-foot request that's there. As written, it's 20 feet. We're requesting 16 feet. If you actually look at the sight line down that street, that is right in line with every other single house on that street. So all the other homes are currently at the 16-foot setback line, even though you do require the 20 feet. So the variance we're asking for does not character out of sight line for any other house on that block. And so that kind of summarizes the variances being requested for the actual new build for lot 60. Are there any questions on that? Otherwise,
No, just do the whole thing and then we'll go to questions.
on to lot 61. That is where the current multifamily property is housed and is located. The big one here is the garage is located on lot 60, the one we just talked about, the vacant lot. That garage technically services lot 61 with multifamilies. There's a cut through drive off the back entrance there. Plan is to remove the garage from the vacant lot, put it behind the existing structure, behind the multifamily. Now, that is the biggest variance here. It's a 15% request on this one. With the garage and the structure, that will take 50% of the lot, even though 35% is only allowed. However, it's necessary under the circumstances. The city requires a garage for the structure, so you have to have a garage on the structure. The structure itself, as it currently stands without a garage, already is over the 35% line. So the structure itself is not conforming according to the current laws. By necessity, you have to get a garage behind it. We want the smallest garage possible, a 400 square foot garage. And we've already been in contact with planners about the necessary setback lines and putting more space between the structures as possible, including a separate additional firewall that the owner here is willing to pay for and install between the actual garage and the structure as it stands today. The last variance request is in regards to that same garage being proposed to be moved on to the lot 61. That's a 7.5% variance. That's a minor increase of 68 square feet. Again, that's in regards to the garage as it pertains to that backyard space. As I said, the most space allowable, the smallest garage possible has been proposed and presented in front of you. And so, in regards to the legal basis for the variance request, there's obviously a practical difficulty with the size of these lots. These are two independent lots with separate tax IDs that receive separate tax bills. These lots were created at this size when the original developer planned the subdivision. So these are the original historical lots that were created for this neighborhood. As I've already said, the existing duplex sits on the same square footage lots, 30 by 100. There's a vacant lot in between. My client's proposing a building, the new brand new single family residence, and a lot directly next to that also is another multifamily property in the same 30 by 100 foot. So the practical difficulty in the circumstance why he cannot just build a new single family home according to your regulations is the fact that the historical size of the lots is they're just too small. It's just, that's how it was, that's how it's always been. Here we are today. In regards to the neighborhood, probably the most important thing. As I kind of briefly mentioned, this will not impede on any of the neighbors. There's no sight lines being blocked. There's no disruption to the community in general or to the street as a whole. If anything, it's going to enhance the neighborhood, enhance the block. It's going to be a very nice, brand new single family home. Somebody's actually be able to live there instead of kind of an unsightly vacant lot where unfortunately due to past ownership and one of the other neighbors has kind of been unsightly with overgrown vegetation over the years. And then again, just to touch back to that practical difficulty, if this vacant lot is not allowed to be built on, it renders it useless essentially. It will remain vacant forever. It will render this lot useless basically until the end of time unless somebody else comes up with a better proposal for the use of it. So in conclusion of that presentation, I would like to answer any questions. I know my client is here. He would like to give himself a quick introduction so you can understand who the owner is and what his background plans are.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day to giving me the opportunity to potentially build a house on this big piece of property. I live here locally. Pregnant wife with me today. We're doing July. I'm a licensed builder. I own the house on the corner, 139 Ridge Road. I mean, I was proactive. I put all brand new windows in that. I take a lot of pride in what I do. I put a fascia soffit wrap on it. I've sided the dormers at the third story, all like proactive. You know, nobody told me to do it. I just did it because I always think like, you know, I have other rentals, you know, from Metro Detroit, and you know, was this something that I would want to live in? So I take a lot of pride in what I do. When I purchased this home and it came with a lot, you know, I think it would be really cool to make use of it and put a single family residence on that lot. And you know, at the end of the day, it increases the values of all the houses within the area too. So I have, you know, a lot of experience with houses. And, I'm, you know, my excavator that would be doing the excavation work and the basement walls. I mean, they're pretty well known companies, so they would be doing that for me, and I've aligned with really good tradespeople, so. I would be the general contractor, and I would be contracting this from start to finish, you know. And I have personal experience too with my own personal home. I put addition on my house about 4 years ago. So I built those relationships with the inspectors and all that too, so.
Okay, questions from the zoning board? Mr. Wood?
Thank you, gentlemen, very much for coming. I appreciate the legal approach and the description of practical difficulty. Couple questions. First, in order for us to do this project, we're told by our attorney and also by our director of public services that there is a need for us a lot split. Since we don't do lot splits very much in this board, could you go over the lot split issue? Discuss what that's going to mean to you, and then I have a follow-up question on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually a very good question. You actually have a very interesting municipal ordinance in regards to the lot splits for these two separate parcels. As I started off, they are actually independent parcels with separate tax bills and separate tax IDs. However, historically, because they were under a 4,000 square foot per parcel, you as a city have deemed them combined and they're owned under common ownership. Mr. Filiak did not know it when he acquired these properties that had to have independent ownership, or they had to be sold independently for them to have their own independent classification. But according to your ordinance in section 1502(2) is what we're actually reading and analyzing. Prior to the act, the code you're talking about did not apply if the lot was at least 4,000 square feet. Unfortunately, the current requirement is 5,000 square feet. Fortunately, he does fall short on this one, as they are only 3,000 square feet. But again, that was the original intended lot size for these homes on this block. That's how they were platted. That's how they were developed by the original developer. To get to the point to answer your question, to get the lot split, we would have to submit the application. It would be a little bit of a custom application because we'd be requesting to split two existing individual parcels that are already separate and distinct. But according to your code, because they fall under that 4,000 square foot mark, they are considered as one. And I think there's some historical significance for the reason that was implemented. Over the years, I don't talk too much about that, so I don't want to get into that. Does that answer your question?
It does, and I think it highlights the complexity of the nature of this problem. If you did not do a lot split, you'd be stuck with that one lot, and you wouldn't be able to build on the other lot 60. So you're requesting first, and I think the task for us tonight is to approve a lot split and then go ahead and look at the variances. The other question is, you originally came to us, I think, in February at some point or another, and you had a vastly different looking building on lot 60. And could you explain to us what you've talked to staff and how you've arranged, arrived at this new design that you're proposing on putting on the soon to be vacant lot?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like everything, we didn't want to present something that wasn't fully thought through and complete. And after having other discussions with the community, other members of the staff here at the city, and looking at the actual variance request we were asking for, we thought that reducing those variance requests down to the smallest possible would be the best goal. But B, also presenting the best product essentially for the community with the single family, the single car garage with the front entrance. That was one of the big changes, was having that front facing entrance off the street. So anybody walking down the street, you see the front door, just like any other home you see on the block. Originally, it was a big, 2-car garage, front facing. You've probably seen a lot of those contemporary homes where it's the big 2-car garage up front and you don't even see a front door. After some discussion with the neighborhood and the community, they didn't like that. So we went back to the drawing board, reduced the variance percentages we're actually requesting, and put in that front-facing front door with a nice approach and entryway, and the beautiful hardboard siding and the design you see here. Does that answer?
It does answer my question. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate you going back to the drawing board, so to speak, getting the input of neighbors, reminding us of the manner in which that lot is not being maintained for a long, long time. I think this is going to be an improvement. I should note for the record that we did receive an email from one of the neighbors there who has no objection to the proposed plans just this evening when we arrived tonight. I'm in favor of it. I wish you well. Thank you for your investment in our city, sir. Thank you. If I recall, you did a good job. In your addition, I think on Meriwether Street, somebody. Yeah. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Anybody on this side? Anybody over here? All right, why don't you take a seat real quick and then I'll ask for public comment and then we'll go from there. All right, any in the public want to talk on this item, please? Come on up and give us your name and address.
I'm super nervous.
Don't be.
Or your neighbors.
Name and address.
Okay. Sarah Markey, 153. Sure. I am very opposed to this. Because all of multiple. I have a couple of notes that I made as well, Mr. Rubia, this attorney for speaking that which as my husband and I were the former owners of 139. When we bought we bought it as was described. Part of lot 62, lot 61, and lot 60 was altogether to be called 139. And that's what we did. It's 139. One of the things that bugged me was that they were referring to lot 60 as being unsightly overgrown vegetation. I am farmer. My husband was the one who held the line along part of this. There was never a complaint about the unsightly overgrown vegetation. I planted tulips and daffodils. I edged the side. We planted bushes. We have the front bushes that face newer, nicely trimmed, I would say. That was a really nice little backyard. That's what we bought. We bought a really nice little backyard. And we never thought to look as to whether that would build full space. That was all just part of Pinyon Ridge. In fact, our realtor said, well, well, that's just a little side. If there's a separate tax bill, don't worry about it, it's all together. So first objection was to reset it over. My second objection is to Mr. Philip Diak and his attorneys certainly that the two houses will be on the same size lots. Mr. Philip Diak is requesting to build a non-conforming house on a lot size that is 3,000 square feet, which is well below the typical 5,000 square feet. And he claims that the house next door, the house that we've all of that rich, is not the same size lot. Which in fact it's not. Because the property that we purchased was a portion of lot 62, lot 61, and lot 60. The home that's built occupies a portion of lot 62, lot 61, and a portion of lot 60 for the garage. My There's the.
It is a bit confusing.
Okay, maybe the picture. I don't know what have to.
Look at the picture on the screen.
Okay, all right, may I?
Sure.
Um. So. This is lot 61, this is the house. This is,
That's 62.
okay, thanks. This is 62. So the shrubbery and whatnot, is on lot 62. And when we look at the size of the space that this house is built on, if you're comparing it to the size of the space that this house is requested to be built, this one is much wider. So we can't say apples to apples. Furthermore, this is the existing garage, which was built on lot 60. We didn't even know there was a lot 60. It was all 139 Ridge. But here's the garage, and they proposed to take the garage down and build a new garage here. As you may have heard his attorney saying that that would result in a 50% lot coverage for lot 61. 50%. That's a lot. Also, I do believe that Mr. Bolivia is going to have to cut down to large short trees here in order to show that garage where it needs to be to get it off lot 60. I've got them. My mom and I spent a great deal of time looking at that, which was not so big. We looked at it through a magnifying glass, which I held on my lap. My mom looked at it and tried to figure out the numbers, which were really hard to read. Anyway, it's just yeah. Mr. Flipiak and his attorney have stated that they had discussions with other members of the community regarding the replacement of the front door and the launch, and they modified their bill based on these discussions with the community, as well as if they wanted to look different, a house, I'm sorry, front door facing the street like the other houses. I talked to many members. The members of the community on Muir, I walked down Muir, from the St. Sue's. They said, oh, we didn't even realize this was about a house on Muir. Because the letter that came to us described the owner of property located at 139 Ridge is requesting a dimensional variance to construct a new single-family home with detached garage. Not say on Muir Road. So the Muir Road, it's the word. Tenants, right? They had no idea that this was referring to that property. In fact, I walked some of them down and said, this is going to happen. And furthermore, because this is just who I am. I wrote out a petition. Which I'd like to read to you in these order.
What?
To the city council of the city of Roseland Farm. I have requested, I will relinquish the request I need to send it. I just read some order. Recommended it's a home organization for entire conversion. Okay, I have reviewed the request for parents submitted budget with them. This letter is to express my strong disagreement with granting multiple variances required to allow development of a single family lot 60 to the modifications to the lot coverage on lot 60. Not the ability of the garage. on lot 60. The result of granting these variances will cause substantial harm to local residents and owners of surrounding places, as well as to the city of Roseland Farms. First, it will cause a decrease in green space. The amount of green space in the area is vital to preserving what has been described as the unique character and charm of Grosse Pointe Farms. This charm is part of what draws families to Grosse Pointe Farms and why current residents chose to remain. Also happens to be the reason that we bought that property on Monday. Very nice backyard. We maintain very nice. Use of the land which preserves as much as possible of our green space is why it is protected by ordinance. Second, granting these variances harms local residents because the result would be less natural light for the occupants of all adjacent homes as well as for surrounding landscape. I'm the house that has all those tulips in the front on Ridge Road. We'll care about that. I spoke with the owner of the house next door. So this is 139 Ridge. This is the lot on 60. This is the house next door. I believe he sent a letter, an email to Natalie. Did you receive it? Okay. We'll get to it. Okay, third, granting these variances will result in the decline of property values to the adjacent because the new homes and subsequent loss of green space and increased density of structures on the property will not preserve the beauty and character of the neighborhood. Yeah, this is something I learned. First, the neighborhood, for example, the house on the other side are in a different zone. Different. So they present a much larger requirement for green space and density of buildings. They present a different. Average person walking down the street does not know. Oh, this area on the other side is a different zone. So it's okay that houses are all dumped here. Not like these houses on the other side where they're local. Okay. The owner of the property on lots 61, 60, 61, and 62 feels that not allowing them to build on lot 60 will cause irreparable harm because he will be paying taxes on 2 lots. I support that this farm is self-created. The owner should have confirmed that he would be able to build on lot 60 and modify the lot coverage on lot 61 without harm to the surroundings or buying it. This is equivalent to the person who buys a race car and complains that local ordinances prevent him from driving it at the speed at which it is capable. He fails to realize that asking for the speed limit to be increased, making those variances, simply to accommodate his desire to drive really fast is unacceptable due to the harm it will cause the rest of the community. Previous owners of that property, known as 139 Ridge, here and looking at the rebought, have not considered the taxes on the lovely green space of lot 60 to be a burden. The purchaser of the property known as 139 Ridge includes part of, as I mentioned, part of lot 62, lot 61, and lot 6. Builder has chosen to decimate the regions on lot 60 in anticipation of being able to build an additional house on lot 60.
This is akin to building a really fast highway through the neighborhood on which to drive his really fast car illegally. Make that space. This looks like a good house.
Not gonna, I hate to interrupt. How much longer?
Almost done.
Okay,
Sorry.
no worries, because we can read it as well. We can pass it around up here as well.
Summary, our ordinances exist to protect the character and beauty of our neighborhood and the well-being of its residents. Granting variations to them causes substantial harm to the community as a whole. Such harm is greater than that which the developer has brought upon himself. It is for these reasons that I oppose the granting of the requested variances and the construction of a house. And I have many signatures from the neighbor.
Are the addresses on with the signatures? Okay, give it to Mr. Kazicki and he'll give it to council so we can look at it. We can pass it around.
That everyone except one person that I spoke to said, oh my God. That one lady even just wrote, because I left place for comments, one lady wrote ridiculous.
Give it to him. Mr. Kazicki, sorry.
Okay,
Well, just the petition, not all your notes.
oh, that's attached on the second page, as part of the petition, and then the signatures start there.
Okay, that's all, that's what, everything's on the clipboard. Are you saying is the petition?
That was the whole- that was the stuff. That, and by the way, the original hearing was supposed to be January. It wasn't held. No one got a notice that it wasn't going to be held. I found out that it wasn't going to be held.
Back to the podium.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, we're not adjudicating that today. But thank you, because I think we moved it. I think on that day we adjourned it to a date certain. So they don't have to renotice it because it will show up back on the minutes that day it was adjourned to a later time.
Several later times. One. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Okay, thank you. We'll give us a minute to digest this. Anybody else in the public want to comment on this item? Okay, with that, public comment is closed. Hold on back there, applicant. I want to talk to our city attorney here real quick because a lot was brought up. Hopefully you can help us synthesize something. So you want the applicant to go. Applicant, come on back.
Two topics. One involves a question for you, and the other one doesn't. Putting aside the niceties and the technicalities that mandate a lot split if the application really be granted, can you inform the council whether or not you intend the new structure is approved on lot 60 to sell that lot?
Those are my intentions.
Versus keeping it in your own ownership.
Those are my intentions, yes.
Okay, so the council needs to be aware that it has to sell it. If the lot split is granted with the corresponding approval of variances to permit construction of the second single-family home on lot 60, it has to be conveyed out to a separate entity. Otherwise, if it stays in your common ownership, you're not permitted to have two residential structures on one lot. So just, it has to be sold. Or conveyed. Okay, second topic is simply informational. There's one more variance that would be required if this were to be approved this evening. That is because the existing structure on lot 61, portion of lot 62, is a multi-family property. You can't alter non-conforming property. It has to be discontinued, but the council, I should say the zoning board, would have within its authority and jurisdiction the right to permit continuation of an existing legal non-conforming two-family structure, and that would have to be part of any motion, if there is a motion to grant.
Let me ask you a quick question. on just the lot split. Total theoretical question. As the owner, could he create Muir Road LLC and literally convey it to himself, but as a different legal entity, and obviate the need for a lot split?
No, it would not obviate the need for a lot split. Because as things exist today, construct nothing on that property without variance.
No, I got that.
Yeah.
But could he sell the lot? Because the only thing that's making it one lot is the common ownership. So if he dissolves the common ownership, then isn't it just the variances for that lot then? Since,
I think your understanding, Louis, I think your question is assuming the lot split and the other variances were to be granted this evening, and he simply convey.
no, even if we didn't go, if we just, this wasn't happening today, could an owner of 139 sell the second lot and then put that as a separate owner with the separate tax ID, and then come to us for a variance to build on that lot?
Yeah, I mean, it's currently unbuildable, but I suppose that could happen. The owner could let it convey to some trusting soul. Lot 60, which is currently an unbuildable lot under the zoning ordinance. See what value could be obtained, and then that purchaser could, try to come before the zoning board and seek a bunch of variances.
We're happy to buy it.
Ma'am, hold on. Thank you. Any other questions from the ZBA? Left?
Oh, probably want to see that.
Yeah.
Bill, I would agree with the applicant that our flat plan here is very difficult to read. The numbers are almost impossible. But we are, if we go ahead and do the lot split, we are going to be creating two 100 by 32 foot lots.
Correct.
And that conflicts with what the lady had said. I guess I have questions for the lady who came up, so I'll just hold until these gentlemen leave.
Well, May says, any other questions for the applicants? And public comment is closed, fortunately.
What? Closed.
It was closed. We'd have, yeah, all right, hold on.
Well,
I got it. Let me, hold on. Hold on.
What was, I just had.
Can I open just for his questions? Have a seat just for a second. Ma'am, can you come back up? And we're gonna finish any questions from the ZBA for her while she's up, and then we'll go back to the applicant.
I do.
I got, that's what I'm saying.
No,
All of, not just you, I said, if anybody else has any questions for this resident, we'll do it now, and then we'll be done with the public comment. So go ahead, love.
you made a couple of statements. I know where you live. You live right at the corner of Muir Ridge. I'm sure you've had it to hear with the construction of the water main, and now you're looking at a potential more destruction right across the street from you, and nobody likes have all the, the dust and the trucks and all the guys and everything, this and that, and then you can't drive down the road and all that kind of thing. But, are you so convinced that will be a drawback that you don't want to see a house on that lot? Because this lot is going to actually, and I'm going to disagree with what you said, will increase the neighborhood value. It will be a benefit for the city. Because we're going to have taxable value, number one, which is kind of a self-interested thing for, taxes and money coming in. Secondly, we would get getting rid of that, what I would call kind of like, a gap in your tooth. You got all these nice perfect teeth, and then you've got a hole. So now we're gonna do an infill project here. So it's my opinion that this is gonna be a benefit. And that once all this stuff is finished, once Muir Road is finished with the construction for you and it's not gonna be irritating anymore. And once the construction across the street is gonna be finished, I think that you're gonna see that this is gonna be a nice deal. So I'm not sure, about your objections there. What do you think of that?
I don't have any objections to the dust, to the construction. For the house, I got objections to the way that I believe and the other neighbors believe it will change. character. The construction of the house will come and go. That's not, I'm not, oh, it's gonna be horrible for, 4 months. You've lived there for, 9 years.
Have anything else?
No.
Anybody else on council have a question? John?
Briefly, I would have liked to have seen the petition, so to speak, before this evening. There are a lot of signatures on it. I have an issue with these following statements. And I don't speak on behalf of the city council. But quite frankly, I take great issue the suggestion that this proposed project cause diminution of local property values within the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. And if allowed, I don't think that any one of us on city council would approve any project whatsoever at any time if we believe it was gonna impact adversely your property, your neighbor's property, someone 2 streets over signed your petition. I don't believe it. And I don't believe this is akin, as you indicated in your remarks, to city council or the board of zoning appeals authorizing the construction of a fast moving highway to a residential.
Yeah,
Well,
That's
I don't, and
that was.
look, we take very seriously, and that's why we ask these questions and things. We have our city engineer here as well. They wrote a lengthy report on this, but we try to do what's best. If we thought this was gonna decrease your profit as opposed to increase the benefits to the local neighborhood, I think it would be a 7-0 vote. I do. And I don't think it's gonna cause anyone's property values to go down. I think it would increase the property value, quite frankly, and would assist in increasing an otherwise wonderful neighborhood. Most of us drive by.
Any questions for her?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any questions for this person, the president? Beth and then Joe.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, I give you credit for coming forward and doing all the different due diligence that you thought was necessary to do. I do agree with my other council members, though. I haven't been by there, and I used to live in 140 Lewiston Road when I was growing up, so that's always a tough area to park those there on the road. Very difficult, very difficult. I remember the Bingham brothers used to live on the corner there. So I'm somewhat familiar with that neighborhood. But for right now, I have to tell you, I really do think it needs a whole different look and redevelopment for it. And I hate to disagree with you because I think you've made some very heartwarming complaints with it. You've used your own initiative to go out and give them a lot of signatures, albeit some of them are not even near road. Lewiston, Merriweather, okay. But nonetheless, you got the signatures and many of them were from your road. So I applaud you for that. I think you're a down to earth, very, very good, diligent citizen. But I have to tell you, I really do think this is an unusual circumstance as far as where I have a lot designation on a very unusual plat that was done many, 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 many years ago. And I think that if we can work out the split lots and some other things, I tell you, I'm gonna find a vote for it. But thank you for coming.
Joe? I just want to bring up that of the 16 names on your list, only 6 are on Muir Road. Everybody else lives on other streets.
Bridge.
Pardon? Well, Ridge is Ridge. Ridge is a fast street. It's not Muir. Muir has its own ambiance as a street all by itself, not to be compared to Ridge. That's all. So there.
Anything else? What you're thinking? Neil, good?
I'm good. I don't
All
have
right.
any, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have anything to follow up? You can, sure, go ahead.
would anyone want to purchase a house where your neighbors and the agreements on both sides?
Now, do we have any questions for the applicant before I call them? Do we need them back up? Anybody? All right, with that, comment and presentation is closed. Any other questions for the administration or our council? So Bill, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Before we get to consideration of the motion, can you restate the issue on the multifamily home? So we understand it as we proceed to consideration.
But once again, it's a technicality, but under the zoning ordinance, in any district, if you have a legal non-conforming use that is, excuse the discretion, grandfather, because of subsequent changes in the zoning ordinance. Future development of such a legal non-conforming use is disfavored. Because of that, the zoning ordinance mandates cannot alter or enlarge or structurally modify even a legal non-conforming use. And that's what this is, because it's a single-family district, and the dwelling that sits on lot 61 is a two-family home. It is, however, within the discretion and the authority of the zoning board of appeals. It's going to grant a lot split and grant the other variances to permit a new structure on lot 60 and a new detached garage on lot 61 to, as part of the overall motion, permit the continuation of the two-family nature of the existing dwelling.
All right,
And no additional variance justification need be articulated in order to do that. You simply have to cover it in the motion.
all right, with that, what is the position of the ZBA?
Well, I have a motion.
Fire away,
So,
Mr. Wood.
as we initially began this discussion, this is a complicated case. Because we need to split the lot first. And then once we've got the lot split, then we can go ahead and work on the motions for 60 and 61, okay?
Bill, two separate?
I would do it as two separate motions, but if you're gonna do it in that order, you have to make the lot split motion contingent upon approval of the other variances in the second.
Okay, and I may have put that in there, but you're gonna correct me if I'm wrong, so let me read this and we'll see what happens. I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals approve the request to divide the existing residential parcel located at 139 Ridge Road into two separate residential lots that do not meet current minimum lot width and or lot area requirements under the city's zoning ordinance. This motion is made with the following findings of facts and conclusions. Property at 131 Ridge Road is located within a residential zoning district. When originally platted, property consisted of two separate lots. However, because the lots are under common ownership, they are now considered to be a single lot under the terms of the zoning ordinance. After the lots were platted, the zoning ordinance was amended to increase the minimum lot width and lot area dimensions in the district. The applicant has proposed a land division that will result in two residential lots, each of which will fall below the required minimum dimensions for lot area and or frontage as specified in the zoning ordinance. In essence, proposed lot split would restore the two lots as originally platted. Surrounding neighborhood contains a range of lot sizes, including several legally non-conforming residential lots of comparable or smaller size and width than those that are being proposed. Both proposed lots will retain adequate access to public streets, water, sewer services, and other infrastructure, provided that a separate motion is granted with respect to certain variances, which I'm going to have in a second. The proposed split will not increase the density, or it will not increase the degree of nonconformity in any manner detrimental to the neighborhood. Public safety and neighborhood character are not expected to be negatively impacted by the proposed lot split. The owner has a practical difficulty in that the current lot is substantially larger than many other residential lots in the immediate vicinity and could reasonably support 2 single-family homes in keeping with the established development pattern of the neighborhood. Strict application of the minimum lot standards in this case would prevent reasonable and compatible use of land that aligns with existing neighborhood character. The practical difficulty was not self-created by the applicant. The 2 original lots were platted prior to the adoption of the current zoning standards. The division supports the city's broader planning goals by allowing compatible infill development and making efficient use of existing infrastructure. The proposed lot split is consistent with the city's master plan and with the historic and prevailing development patterns in the Ridge Road area. The proposed use remains residential and consistent with permitted uses in the zoning district. Final approval is contingent upon the granting of several variances as set forth in my next motion. Final approval, and I think, final approval also is contingent upon submission and administrative review of a land division plat or survey consistent with this motion and compliance with all applicable site development and building requirements.
One correction at the outset of your presentation, Lev said 131, I think 139.
Sorry, yep, I did.
Rest of it's fine.
Anything else from anybody?
Is anything else? All right, is there support for the motion?
Support.
Mr. Kazicki?
Councilor Boyd,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Liberty,
Yes.
Councilor Luci,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Donovan,
Yes.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah.
Councilor Reagan.
Yes. Left.
Okay, regarding.
Motion passes, sorry.
Yes, motion to, regarding the lot 60 and the 61 variance request, it's 2-pager, so again, please hang on. I move that the appeal of Mr. Jacob Filipiak, owner of the property located at 139 Ridge Road, be granted, thereby authorizing issuance of a building permit to construct a new single-family residence on a vacant parcel lot 60 that currently houses an accessory structure, detached garage, which will be demolished. And number 2, construct a new detached garage on lot 61 right next. In making this decision, the board has reviewed a report from McKenna dated April 4th, a memo from Matt Baca dated May 12th, zoning board of appeals application submitted by the owner dated November 18th, and architectural plans submitted by the applicant. All work will conform with the submitted plans from Dennis Berry and Associates, date stamp March 4th, 2025. The variance is granted on the basis that, and I'm going to go much like the applicant's attorney did, I'm going to start with 60 and then go to 61. Regarding section 1300 for lot 60, the application is requesting a variance of 0.8% from the maximum lot coverage. Practical difficulty exists due to the unique dimensions of the lot. It's very skinny and deep. Regarding section 1400.6 for lot 60 again, the applicant is requesting a variance of 7.3% from the requirement that a paved drive in a front yard shall not exceed 30% in coverage of the front yard. Practical difficulty exists since the size of the lot is unique and there is no feasible alternative to siting a driveway other than as proposed. Regarding section 402 for lot 60, the application is, the applicant is requesting a front yard setback of 16 feet, which is a variance of 4 feet. A practical difficulty exists in that the city has an interest to see that the homes have matching setbacks. All the homes that we've discussed tonight all have matching setbacks. Site dimensions make it difficult to line up with the other homes adjacent to the proposed residences without the variance. Proposed variance request allows the new home on lot 60 to match that of the home on lot 61. Regarding section 1300 for lot 61, the applicant is requesting a variance of 15% from the maximum lot coverage. A practical difficulty exists due to the unique dimensions of the lot, again, very skinny and long, skinny and deep. Regarding section 1503.5 for lot 61, the applicant is requesting a variance of 7.5% for the requirement that accessory structures not occupy more than 35% of the actual rear yard. This is the garage that's going to be demoed and it's going to be moved over. So they need a practical difficulty. They need a variance. A practical difficulty exists due to the unique dimensions of the lot. There is no alternative to siting the garage without a variance. The applicant is proposing a standard 2-car garage, which he needs since the house is currently a duplex occupied by 2 families. Practical difficulties above are not self-created because the lots cannot be built on without a variance, and the lots were platted prior to the adoption of the current zoning standards. The existence of the variances are not minimal, but due to the size of the new lots, they're unavoidable. The variances will result in a new 2-car detached garage and a new home that are generally in harmony with homes in the area. Variances serve the intent and purposes of the ordinance. The applicant has provided an address, 205 Muir, of one other residence in the area that generally has the same legally non-conforming existing conditions. The variances will result in substantial justice being done because the hardships suffered if these variances are not granted would deprive the applicant of amenities. There's a new car garage on one lot, home on the other, enjoyed by other property owners in the district. Due to the unique dimensions of the lots in question, there are no viable alternatives that would obviate the hardships. The variances will not substantially interfere with or injure the rights of persons whose properties are affected by the proposed variances. The variances will produce a very modest increase in population density because there's going to be a new house, but have no effect on the predominant single-family character of the district. No additional governmental resources will be needed due to these variances. And it is noted, and I think this gets to what Louis and Bill were just talking about. It is noted that the existing home on lot 61 is a 2-family structure. Since the only proposed change to this lot is the placement of a new garage, the grandfathered legal non-conforming use of a 2-family structure will be permitted to remain until such time as the zoning ordinance would require that existing use be reconsidered. And that is my motion for that.
Yeah, okay, I got, go ahead, Neil.
I just want to be clear. So this resolution is contingent on the passage of the first resolution, right? Or rather, the first resolution is contingent. Is that correct?
We needed to have the first one passed, which
The first one passed.
Yep.
So therefore,
We can consider this.
we consider this.
Correct.
We had to consider this.
Right.
So
But now you have a split law.
right now we have a split lot, and that's an important point, right? For
Correct.
myself, because I voted against it, but in the case of now we have a split lot, we're gonna want something there. So I just want that to be clarified.
Yep.
And Louis, I just had a question, that last line you wrote about foresee, okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna ask a friendly amendment
thank
on
you.
that. Will you accept a friendly amendment that the non-conforming use shall continue in only until such time as the property is sold? 139 Ridge, at which time it has to meet the zoning requirement to become a single-family residence.
I would. Is that typical of what we do? Or is
This, I've been here 24 years. That's the first time we've had this issue. And I would frankly make it a,
I mean, okay,
yeah,
so how do you word it then? So that-
exactly like I just said
All right,
it.
Derek, did you get that? I don't think I'm gonna be right.
Yes, so the non-conforming use will be allowed to continue until such time as the applicant sells 139 Ridge, at which time he will have to meet the zoning requirement to be converted to a single-family residence. Period.
Two-family farm.
Correct.
So that's a lot of stuff, and I'm sorry, but it's a complicated, thing, and I'm sorry to make you all wait through all that, but it's, I think, really important. I think we've got a good system here to make this happen.
Yeah, did you accept the mayor's amendment?
I did, yeah. Yeah,
So 139 is now going to become a single family residence.
No, stop. Stays duplex. Stay duplex. As long as they own it,
Until it gets sold, but
he has to sell it as a single-family residence.
I own 153 Ridge. It's a duplex.
No, just, no, ma'am, it has nothing to do with you.
Yep.
There's no, this, not your house, I mean. This is just for 139. If he sells 139 because he's getting lot 60, so that's an amendment I made. Because to take it from a non-conforming use to a conforming use in the future. That's all.
Yeah, can I get clarification on that one, please, council? Now we're getting everything,
Sure, come on up.
come on.
Let me.
Go ahead.
Sure, amendment. It is a question for you and your client as to whether or not that additional requirement is acceptable to you as part of this entire package. The mayor's amendment has the consequence that assuming you have 5 votes, the development on lot 60 will be permitted as presented. New detached garage on lot 61 will be permitted as presented. The continuation of the 2-family duplex on lot 61 will be permitted, but only until lot 61 might be sold. At which point you would have to convert to a single family well. That's my interpretation of what the.
That is exactly what I'm requesting.
So,
It's no good.
and I'm gonna interpret the interpretation here.
Yeah.
Right,
The applicant can speak. If he says he doesn't want to do it, then the zoning board can up and down it, and then if it fails, then they can try it again.
So essentially, your current duplex, as it stands today, will be permitted to continue on as a multifamily duplex as is. However, they're proposing that if we were ever to sell that duplex, then at that point in time, it would be automatically zoned down and reconverted to single family use only.
It's already zoned single family. It's a very non-conforming use.
Fair enough.
I suppose in theory, a subsequent owner could come back to the Board of Zoning Appeals and seek a new variance at that time. But at that point, it would become a use variance, not an area variance.
But the duplex as it stands and was originally built, I don't know the history of that, but that is an old structure that was originally built as a duplex and is designed as a duplex.
I completely understand that, and I've owned a triplex and I've converted it, and Grosse Pointe Park has had a lot of success converting a lot of their 2 families to single families. And just because we're giving a lot here is the way I look at it, and I just want a little bit back. That's all.
Trying to completely understand what the implications.
Yes. So you can own it for 20 more years as a duplex.
50 more.
Correct. Correct.
Unless that new owner comes before the board and gets.
Gets a use variance.
So the impact would itself, how do you want to sell it, find it, when it can look at the company finance it,
I personally like to see you continue to own it, clean it up, make it nice again. You put the windows in, which you did. And great, but
So if I'm granted this variance today, I guess my question,
everything goes, you go, man, it stays. You get to build a house, stays as a duplex, do everything you ask for.
I have
20,
no intention of selling it.
so 20 years from now, if you decide to sell the duplex, then they can come in front of city council. I'll be hopefully, you know, in my house around the corner smoking a cigar because I won't be here. So it's, you know,
Yeah, with the use variance apply in scenarios where there's an exemption under the Property Transfer Act?
Believe not, that wouldn't be my interpretation because the nearest union was in generic. Once it's sold, it's gotta be converted back to single family.
What if I give it to like my son one day?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Now you're getting into a.
He's 6 years old.
yeah, it's a related party transaction. I'm not gonna be that granular. If you, I said the applicant, if the applicant sells the house.
I do. So I'm gonna keep it in the family though, right?
You're gonna give it.
Can't give legal advice. I have no idea what the related party transaction does.
What's the name of the house now?
Yeah, it's in your name now, right?
Personally? Is it personally in your name now?
It's in a house.
So it's not in your name?
So if the LLC,
Keeps it.
yeah, if it stays in that name, then yeah. But just because the LLC changes shareholder or member, I should say.
Members.
Yes.
Wait, should I ask Bill?
Well, let's see what he says first. Yeah. Then we can do the nicety on the words and see what he says first.
That gives you the out. He's membership. He could be a member of my LLC. Stays the same. Change.
Look,
It's rolling the dice.
like it, guys. So if it stays in LLC, you're going to be good. So your son can become the managing member when he's 21 or 18, whatever.
Now, there's no opposition for me putting a lot in a LLC, like a separate LLC to build that house, correct?
There's been nothing discussed about that today. Good. All right. We have a proper motion.
Yeah.
Is there support
Support.
with the amendment? It was a proper motion.
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
All right,
Support.
Mr. Kazicki.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Conrad O'Wiggin.
Yes.
Councilmember Reggie.
Yes.
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 Yes. Councilmember. Yes. Yeah.
All right, motion carries. Good luck and be good to your neighbors during construction. All right. Thank you. Item 5B, consideration of a request for a fence exception at 493 Bournemouth Road. All right, fire away, sir. Give us your name and address.
And you guys may have built this project I presented to you over a year ago. It's a pretty beaten up house and if you we have the whole thing and I've been holding 16 months to finish it. I got my fence finished in my garage. Requesting a variance to the fence along the back side that is with the variance. Instead of a 4 foot, 50% opacity on the fence, we want to put a 5 feet. And there is a view in the drawings that I've provided, that you can see the style. Upper 24% of the fence is still 50% opacity, but because it's on Mack Avenue, I'm looking for a little more privacy with the lower portion of the fence.
All right, questions for the applicant? Mr. Galuli?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had one question. Thank you. Nice to see you again. Remember before you started this project, you were here. It looks great. There's no. The portion for the setback of the fence from the sidewalk doesn't meet city code. I think it's gotta be at least 2 feet. You'd be willing to amend it so that the setback is such that it's
2 feet or more from the city sidewalk in order to allow snow removal, et cetera, to traverse that area of the city sidewalk?
I would like to do a 1 foot. If possible, I would do a 1 foot. Because that lot is really compromised, it's on a very small angle, I'm trying to maximize the amount of space in the backyard. See, it's very, like a wedge shape in the back. So if I could do 1 foot versus the 0 offset, I do.
I will just throw in that your odds of the fence being hit by our plow and you being mad at us is gonna be very high at 1 foot. Having had a fence 2 feet off my old house, it's a lot of snow gets up there and it comes awfully damn close. I mean, I would recommend at least 20 inches as a compromise.
Just to keep it, I mean, to split the difference is 18, I mean, it's 18 inches. 20 is.
That sells cars.
He's got a job for you. I gotta go to the general manager. Hold on. What do you think?
Get 2 more inches.
Space is easy number to do like contact
Give me 20.
120.
Come on, 20. All right. My GM says 20, I got 20. Any other questions on the fence itself? Height? Left?
Yeah, Mike, you know, you, in your packet, you mentioned a couple of times about privacy and and stuff like that. And I guess I just have to say, but I'm sorry, if you're looking for privacy, you don't build a corner of Mac Avenue, which is probably one of the busiest, traffic volumes, police cars, truck service people, UPS, you name it, loud places, and you're saying that you want privacy and it's gonna reduce the decibel level. I don't buy it. I mean, you got your place there. We gave you that night, the variance for your garage. You know, my sense is that, you've gotta have a fence that meets the opacity, requirements. I'm also concerned about 2 foot, side. I'm okay with 5 feet. But I want you to work with Matt, Matt and administration on a house, on a fence that meets the opacity requirements. There's a zillion around that you can look at. And then I want it pushed back 2 feet. So those are my comments. You can feel free to say no, whatever you want to say, but I mean, that's what I feel.
Well, I mean, we measure it, 50% opacity fence and one that's only, fully opaque all the way up to the 4 feet will definitely reflect sound. So if I sell it in the future, there's small families and bags enjoy themselves years. And you tend to live there, and so I do think, in my own opinion, that something that will actually help not. It's a background, reflecting sound or something actually will improve.
Sure, you're right. There will be some deflection of sound, but I would say that, having a bus driving by or a garbage truck or whatever is gonna be pretty loud because you're on that. So,
There's also planes that fly over too.
well, okay. Anyway, those are my comments.
Neil?
I'll just say, number one, I think you're doing a great job in developing a house. I think we all know it was a property that wasn't really upkept, and because it is right on Mac, we kind of watched the development happen. And it's been good to see that. I also remember during that hearing, you talked about, I think, putting up the pergola and talking about eliminating the obstruction to the neighbor's view. And I remember thinking that was kind of funny because you don't really necessarily want to have a view right on Mac Avenue. So I understand the desire to have fence. At the same time, what concerns me is part of the reason why we have this sort of ordinance is we don't want to become like some cities out east where it's just a city of walls and fences, right? It's partly even on a major thoroughfare like Mac Avenue. So I see a lot of conflicts here, and I'll leave it up to some of my other fellow zoning board members to figure out where we want to go on this. But I'm frankly torn between the understanding of your needs and the desires of the community as a whole have the kind of opening, inviting feel that we want to have in the city.
And I have a.
Well, John had his hand up, sorry. No, so I thought you did it at the same time. Neil. Well, no, I thought you both put it up at the same time. So, sorry. Go ahead.
I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Mark. I think you've done an outstanding job. That is a parcel that is just, it's a nightmare. And I think that what you've been able to do with it, it's just remarkable on how you've been able to work with it. It's a very unusual parcel, piece of land. I also think that there are some other different examples along Mack Avenue. Perhaps they're not in the farms, perhaps they're in the woods, that show fences that are of what you tried to give us illustrations of the selection. I have no problem with this at all. I think that the noise thing, as far as, I lived on a busy street in Chicago for 15 years. And, yeah, a fence can make a difference. It can make a difference.
Sarah.
Noise. So I see no problem doing this with the understanding of some of the different allowances that you've articulated that you're willing to make. Thank you.
Sarah, sorry. Go ahead.
When it comes to Department of Public Works or public safety raising a concern, that is something I take very seriously. I know what happens when plows come through and the neighbors call City Hall and there's big complaint. And that's just not something I'm willing to compromise on. We need the two people.
I'm prepared to do the 2 feet if you would accept my proposal for the fence design, where it's the upper portion is the open and the bottom is more opaque. I think I would be happy with it. I did provide neighbors to the south of me and to the north of me do have an opaque fence all the way up to the top. Regardless of the age, I know some are older and some are younger, but it is already evident in the neighborhood. So I would move it back to the 2 feet, and if I could use the proposed design that I have.
I'm in favor of your fence the way you've designed it. I live on Jefferson, motorcycles, garbage trucks, school kids, it's nonstop. So anything you can do to put up some bushes on top of that will give you some of the decibel reduction that you might get by with. So I'm for your,
I do want to make a point, my neighbor on one side, off on the fence, I do, that's the man on the other side, so they moved it, and that fence is actually not in very good shape, so both sides will actually benefit.
Well, thank you for doing only 5 feet. Thank you for doing some opacity at that last foot on the top. I think these pictures are a little deceptive because you have them against the mountain range. So it looks a little taller than 5 feet. So the depth of maybe 500 feet. And thank you for doing the 2 feet. Any other questions before we go to the public? Anybody in the audience want to talk on this? Seeing none, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of the ZBA? And it's a 4-3 vote.
I'll try to make a motion.
All right, you're sitting next to the lawyer. He'll keep you in line. Go ahead.
Not for him.
Right, sitting next to the lawyer.
That's up.
I move to grant the requested variance of 493 Bournemouth. Regard to the installation of a 5-foot fence with a 2-foot required minimum setback. Basis of the motion is that the findings of the zoning board of appeals that the variance is in harmony with and serves the intent and purpose of the city of Grosse Pointe Farms ordinances. That the variance is granted, it will not affect obviously population density or intentional harm to character of the district. Variance will result in substantial justice being done as required by the ordinances. By the ordinance, it will not substantially interfere with or injure the rights of persons whose property is immediately adjacent to or affected by the proposed variance. Furthermore, the proposed variance meets the standards of Article 25. Since I so move.
just so that the recording and the minutes are clear, the record should reflect that there's a gray area here in terms of the intersection between zoning ordinance and fence ordinance. This probably could have been, approved under the fence ordinance without any different consideration. I think it's fine, the way it's been articulated in the motion. But, we're going to require only 4 affirmative votes to approve it rather than the 5 that would otherwise be required for a variance.
All right, do I have support for the motion?
For,
All right, Derek?
Well, I'm still confused. Can I go ahead and ask a question?
Yeah.
While we're voting, or just like I have?
Well, we're past that, but I'll let you ask the
No,
question. Yeah.
but you
No, because I said,
kept going.
no, just he made him, once we're at the motion stage.
I don't want to interrupt you now.
No, but once we're at the motion stage, we're past that. Go ahead.
John, about the opacity, what's the proposal?
The opacity is presented, the memorandum, and the documents submitted to our building official.
So that it meets the 50%? Okay, I vote yes.
Oh, wait,
Whoa.
That's not in there. That's not,
No,
it's only that 1 foot, so it's just
Yeah.
that top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to come to an agreement as to the opacity and the, right?
Yeah,
Bill?
it's at presented.
As presented.
From the gentleman.
Yes, from the applicant.
So basically, we're giving him, we're getting 2, we're giving him we're getting the 2 feet, we're getting the 5 foot height, we're getting the 2 foot setback.
Right, and that opacity at the top.
And that'll pass in just at that.
I don't like that at all.
kind of need one.
That's what the motion is. So,
Well, given that, okay, I'll say yes. I love it.
Go on, Derek.
Well, I don't want to be the only one who says.
you're not gonna, it wouldn't be, I don't think.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
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 No,
Councilmember Smoke. Sure. Yes. Councilmember.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Putting punch to his. After that puppy, a little punch. Reset.
Item 5C, consideration of request for garage height exception at 407 Roland Court. Will the applicant and our representative come on up? Name and address, please.
Looking to seek a variance to, building a garage, or building a garage and then. Higher. Well, if it's in feet, that's one is trying to go like another 4.5 feet to match the pitch of our roof and kind of keep the cues of what's existing. And then adding more space for, I think.
All right, went straight to it. ZBA, questions? Beth?
This request is, for, you're requesting, a structure height of total of 9.5, right? And that's from, what is it right now, 15?
Yep.
So this represents a 25% more than the required requirement that we have at 15 feet. It's 25% more. And we have gotten a couple of different messages from some nearby neighbors complaining that it's too high. And you know, one of the requirements that we have here is that you gotta talk to your neighbors. You gotta talk to your neighbors when you're gonna be, the new garage, it's higher. You need a variance with it. And they claim they had no idea that they were gonna be doing this until we got notice from Matt Backup. So have you talked to their neighbors lately?
I talked to neighbors, to the. YMCA, unfortunately, don't have a relationship with them that is imposing this.
And some of the things you put in there is kind of speculation and not very true. But
Well, this is your chance to address it, so you might as well tell us.
yeah.
You don't think it's proper, because if he's here, he's gonna tell us, and we read it, so.
Yeah, well, he's saying that we keep the lights on all night, we're gonna put dogs outside and a kennel or something, and it's just not true, we don't do that. I'm just trying to take a dilapidated building that's from 1949 that is pretty bad, rough shape, and make it, take some cues from what it is right now, and just, make it bigger, to, house a lot of the stuff for my kids, my personal motorcycles and things like that. I don't have enough room in my basement. My home also too, I have like personal office there, so storage is very restrictive for me at this point, so. I don't think it's asking for much for fucking 4 feet. That's not gonna be usable space for, a room or the use of that is gonna be just basic storage.
Given any consideration to, you're asking for 25% more. Given any consideration to, and, you gotta have a good rationale here, why this is really needed.
But we made, like I said, storage, kind of went out of the room, when we moved here. 16, we didn't have kids now. So just kind of all the square footage of the house and wood toys and, had a personal office at the house and everything like that. So just trying to maximize what I can there. I don't think we're doing anything too elaborate or anything that's obscene. Trying to keep, like I said, cues of what's existing there.
Okay. All right, but the building is 864 square foot. It's nowhere near that right now, right?
Yep.
Okay, and you are going up,
The garage is 24 by 24, the other one's just a covered porch.
have you given any consideration to lowering the height?
Well, I would be just like back to 15 feet and, I'm trying to match the actual pitch of the roof and just trying to keep the aesthetics of what's there. You cannot see the other, of course, the other neighbor that's opposing it, cannot see my garage from her sign light or from her house. I think we're friends, so they're coming to something.
Do you have any neighbors that are?
Yeah, I guess 200. Yeah. But you can all imagine earlier,
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Left side, anything?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Sarah.
In your application, under D, please explain the hardship or practical difficulty that will result if the variance is not granted. Can you tell us about this workspace? We need this for storage and workspace.
Workspace, mainly the house, some equipment that I use for my business or, just doing things around the house, my tools. My son, he's into third place now, so they're trying to house everything in there in a safe environment. I'm getting water infiltration right now. The building or the garage was in really bad shape when I purchased this, and that was one of the things that I really wanted to do when we bought a house, and so just trying to restore it. I did my due diligence. I went out and got a survey for the property. I hired a professional architect. So I did all my homework, and I think I tried to value the house, neighborhood, and I think it's there. The voice is
Thank you, sir, for your explanation. Also, you said you have letters of support?
You know what, no one told us, they're right here.
They were on our desk, it's these emails.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
They just came in this afternoon.
Has to be something.
I don't have those. Thank you.
Joe, then left.
Okay, it's storage upstairs. And the stairway going up is a pull down, so it's like.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no heat up there, there's no desk or whatever, it's just gonna be go upstairs and throw all the stuff up there, so it's not in your backyard, not in the basement, not in the house. Thank you.
Left?
Well, if you've been listening to my prattle about the first motion that I made, the term practical difficulty, or comes up quite often. And that is to say that for us to give you a variance, you need to have a difficulty, usually having to do with the size of the lot, something unique about the lot, something lot centric. That prevents you from meeting the ordinance, as it is. So far, I haven't heard that. I think I've heard a lot of wants, I need. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is a practical difficulty in you keeping the building the same height. Why, for instance, as Beth had mentioned, why couldn't you reduce the slope? So that you would have a little bit, maybe, 2 feet less, so that, or is there a dimensional problem with where the garage is now that you wouldn't be able, it would only end up being like a 1.5, car garage, or just tell us something that is what we would determine a practical difficulty, because that's pretty.
Well, like I said, to match the roof, for me, I'm a bigger guy, to get up there where it's only like 4 feet, it's gonna be pretty difficult, and trying to, obviously for storage. It's really hard to be able to sort of houses to, put things a certain way. And we, made a conscious decision to stay where we almost consider about moving. But, we set it back and wanted to invest in the house, and, we tried to just, see if we could get this, this garage to expand on the square footage. I know it's asked for a lot, but, I think it's justifiable, and I just.
It is asking for last 25%. Yeah. 25%.
Yes. 5% increase.
Yeah, that's it. Anybody over here? All right, let me see what's in the public. Anybody in the public want to comment on this item? I'm seeing none. Public comment. I've got a question. The public comment is closed. So let me ask you a question. I live around the block. I've walked your block, driven the block. Every single garage is exactly the same, at least as far as I can tell, looking back down driveways with the lower roof slope. Doesn't obviously give a lot of storage from the ceiling up. But again, I'm failing to see practical difficulty here. I get it. You want a little more storage room, but like I'm only 5'8" and can barely get into my upstairs thing, and I'm still able to store stuff. Yes, I bang my head occasionally, but at least I'm storing stuff up there, and it's a pull down ceiling, stairway. I think you got to for me, you got to bring it down a little bit. I just think it doesn't look in character with your block. It's a court, and all the garages look the same. Yes, you're going to have a nice patio on the outside. You're going to have a brand new garage, a lot of storage. I think just the height, even if you come down 2 feet, I think it's going to be better for me to do that.
I just look at the neighbor's central font. They're 22 feet. They were right behind in the blue house, has a huge English on it.
When I do your block, they all look the same. And so we have to look at what's in harmony with that neighborhood. And this is out of harmony with what I saw.
Would we, any consideration like 2 feet down?
That's what I'm saying. If you brought it down a couple feet, I think I'd be much more comfortable, because the slopes of the garages are like this in your neighborhood, not like this. So I think less than a 25% impact, something smaller would be preferable.
Yeah, I mean, that's like it.
Sure.
My sense is that this isn't going so great for you. This happens. So if we make a motion to deny tonight, it doesn't mean you can't come back. So maybe what you could do is you could talk to your builder, your architect, and say, look, We gotta come up with something that the mayor has just suggested that's much more practical and more in harmony with what we have in our neighborhood, right? And so even if it's just a little bit, over what, 25% is a lot. And Louis was suggesting that this is not gonna necessarily fit into the community standards of the human and the harmony of it. So come back. Or we could just table it, right?
I do have a business.
But if we deny it, that's it. That's it. So,
Well, you denied this project.
yeah.
You have to reply again. correct?
Yes. If you table it, then he doesn't have to pay the fee and all that kind of stuff. Thoughts here on the left side? A lot of mums.
I have a.
Sarah, yeah.
So you are agreeable to lowering it by 2 feet?
I mean, if everyone's in agreement that, I can't go.
I think we should get a plan.
I don't want to see you come back
No,
and, have to redo your whole application.
no, I don't want to. So I do have revisions to the plans, I can submit that to Matt. I go from there.
Mr. Galuli.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Sir, I'm somewhat in agreement with Councilmember Wood. I may strongly suggest to you that you withdraw the motion for tonight, to come back to us with a plan. Falling within the appropriate guidelines for it most, maybe, I don't want to speak for others, but I'm having a hard time even 2 feet above, quite frankly, that amount of promise, but I consulted with a couple of people, I withdraw tonight. I would say you're having to file another application with fee or pay the.
We would just motion to table or withdrawal. This is to be a different plan.
This withdrawals different.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, I think what you're saying is that table it for 30 or 60 days and we have a revision that we propose anyway, so let's table it to,
June? Can you do by June?
see,
Can you do something by June?
I can get it probably this week.
Yep, anything
Yeah,
that,
I mean, the only thing I would say is the thing to be careful, like Chris said, I know you do a lot of great work in our community, so I just want to say that. The concern here too is the practical difficulty and having to talk through that, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the challenge, and it's not the only time that we've ever faced this. And I think it's just talking through and thinking through that, because again, it can't be, the challenge we have is a lot of people come to us sometimes with like, I need this or I want this. And we have an obligation to say, because of the peculiarities of this property, we have to give you this variance in order for you to, be able to. So that's the challenge. And so I'm not sure, I can't speak for anyone else, but even if it's 2 feet, the question is like, is the practical difficulty there? How would we be able to write that thing? So that's just another thing to think about. But I think you're getting good well, I think you're hearing from the council that, tabling it might.
so Chris, just like this, in the time I've been on this council, there were people who would just say, you know what your answer is? Go buy a bigger house. No,
I don't want them.
I got it, but that's what I'm saying. That's, you haven't, why should we let you build something that's not in character? I got it. So then just live with what you got. So I think we become the gentler, kinder ZBA or trying to. So this is a way for us to be that, so. Do I have a motion to table this item until the June 16th meeting? Which, I'm sorry, it's gonna be about June 16th. I'm moving it.
7, motion court to the June 2025.
I'm changing it, Lev. I'm gonna ask you guys to change it. Is there support?
Support.
Right, Derek,
What?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, my honorable.
Yes.
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 Yes. Councilmember Moore, yes.
All
June.
right, Chris, see you in June. I want to do this one and then we'll take a break. All right, before we get to the budget, okay? Just so we can get through all this exceptions and okay, do I have a motion to adjourn as the zoning board of appeals to reconvene as a city council?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Reconvene as a city council. Item 6, consideration of a request for approval of an outdoor sales site plan for 18310 Mac Avenue. Come on up, give us your name and address, sir.
David Garland, 18330 Matt Avenue.
We are proposing for outdoor sales use. We'll be proposing for a seasonal placement of the outdoor grill, the sidewalk patio area in front of our store. As any location is within a fenced patio area directly adjacent from the storefront entrance. The specifications of that area is 30 by 30 by 45, which is 433 square feet. Which maintains ample pedestrian access and availability from the sidewalk and the street. Our grill that we're proposing will be only used during the summer months for both sampling and retail use of freshly prepared foods from our market. And these items will be put on site and offered either as a complimentary sample or direct purchase, depending on the product and its stage. We have also other site plan. We have been in contact with Department of Safety about some of the different questions the fire marshal had. So we do understand most of the questions that they have and will be abided by all of this and all this stuff.
So the grill won't be right underneath the umbrella.
No, that's.
Well, we also won't be really backwards.
Yes, exactly. Any questions from the council? John, and then Nick, Neil, and then left.
Then
Then
one thing I noticed.
I'm sorry, who's blocking?
AI generated image is that there are not many other things other than the grill and some seats, flowers, other stands located within that. What's your intention? This is authorized with regard to your placement of other items for sale and that immediately.
Remove it.
Neil?
Yes, so just to be clear, I want to understand, so you're gonna remove, you guys use that a lot. I'm a big customer, my credit card can tell you that. But you're gonna remove all of that stuff in the area?
I mean, with the amount of space that we have, with 433 square feet, we need about 10 feet. The barbecue can be within 10 feet of any structure, so we'll just maintain that 10 feet around that area. So I mean, if there are some floral on the side, we'll make sure they're 10 feet away from all of the area.
And I'm just worried because the other thing that it was brought up in the memo from McKenna was, concerns about the pedestrian pathway and, just worried, I hope you're successful and there's queuing and what that looks like as people get in. That's just a very, when I shared this with my wife, her first reaction was like, it's already so busy there anyways, like this could make it even more difficult and potentially just dangerous because it's that intersection and we're working on that. So that's why I'm a little bit reluctant on this. I just think we have so much going on. And I would also say, we also have the public safety concerns with what's been going on with the store too. And so I just, when I read through the packet and saw this, I was like, guys, you doing so much, maybe just slow the roll on this one. My first thought, but that's not so much a question.
Sierra?
I would like to see this, I think community and it being more added to the attraction. I think it's a great thing. And I love coming in because it's just that whole sidewalk patio was so well maintained. And I appreciate that.
We will keep maintaining it.
Left?
Hi, David. Yeah, just to kind of follow up on what Neil was saying, I'm looking at pictures that I took today as I walked up there. You're taking a great deal of what right away, flowers, and I'm looking at a picture here where you've got, it appears milk cartons tipped upside down, and then you've got, wooden, plants on top of that, and then you've got all these flowers going up and down the Henry. And then, looking at the next picture I took, is the picture of the patio itself, which you just told John you're gonna remove all that stuff. But, this is, you are extending your retail store into almost kind of like the city is subsidizing that. And I think that that's a little bit of a problem. And I'm sure that the Kroger in the city would absolutely love to have all sorts of plants all over, whatever that is, St. Clair or whatever that's. Okay, right? So I'd like to caution you that it's so jammed up. However, saying that, I'm in favor of this, and I have a motion that says that, one thing as a condition, there would be no seating, but, in lieu of seating, we would allow, 4 upright circular, tables, which we call high tops. The reason for that is that in the, picture that you showed us, I think in our packet, there was a, rendering of some people sitting there enjoying, so I don't want this to be turning into an outside restaurant area, just like we have on Kirchville with Lux and Nini and all of those guys. I want to avoid that, and in order to avoid that, I want to just have these upright tables. Okay, are you cool with that? That's all.
Beth,
Oh, no, he's answering my question. Very good.
Joe?
That's my concern.
Will you be able to sell a bottle of wine out there? No alcohol.
It's a separate request.
Huh?
It has to be a separate exception.
Okay.
Yeah, that's being still.
Anything else? Keep it clean and keep it moving for the people that come in around that space. Anybody in the public have any comments on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of council?
I have a motion.
Lev?
I move that the application submitted by Jacob Garland Market. Applied for the seasonal placement of an outdoor grill on the sidewalk patio area in front of the store be granted. In making this decision, the board has reviewed a report from McKenna dated May 5th, memo from Matthew Baca dated March 10th, site plan review application by the owner dated April 16th, and a site plan description submitted by the applicant. All plans, operational details, placement and accessibility and grilling specification details will conform to those described by the applicant and materials presented to the city council tonight. Conditions. No seating will be allowed as the patio area is currently used to display retail items for sale. Plus, pedestrian movement is already constrained by the placement of these items in the patio area and along the sidewalks. In lieu of seating, though, the village market is allowed to provide no more than 4 upright circular tables called what I call high tops to allow customers to stop and sample grilled products. Village Market will make every attempt to keep the grilling area clean and free of debris, trash, paper, etc. Grilling use will be permitted to operate seasonally on weekends and summer holidays between 11 and 3 o'clock. The outdoor grilling area will not interfere with safe pedestrian flow and public rights of way. Village Market will provide the city with a hold harmless clause on their commercial insurance policy, and the city will be named as an additional insured on that policy. No alteration of the market shall be allowed. No signage is permitted. Compliance with any fire code requirements, which Jason have already talked about, but I'll put this in here anyway. Compliance with fire code requirements is required. Village Market will comply with any other code requirements the city might impose. That's my motion.
Can I request a friendly amendment that this will be a seasonal application, so it has to be renewed on a year-to-year basis?
Every year.
Yes.
Okay, yep.
That's what we do with on
I will accept.
the hill, so
Yep.
same thing.
Okay.
Sierra, you got a question?
Do we need to address the outdoor sales? As you had mentioned, I believe in your application. I just want to make sure that that's understood.
Whether they can do the outdoor sales?
No, he mentioned even possibly selling some of the food as well.
Quite interesting.
It'd be sale and samples.
Oh. Right, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
Yeah, to make that
we
clear.
all
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, he did say that. He did say the sale or samples.
Mhm.
I think 10 feet was the number you gave us
Yeah.
for the fire.
You're looking for it?
That,
you're looking for regarding the outdoor sales?
No, it's,
Okay.
it's good.
Okay, thank you.
no,
Can we add that as a friendly amendment? Yes, another friendly amendment that it allows sale of food and offering of free samples.
Okay.
Anything else, anybody? All right, valid motion. Is there support?
Support.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, good luck. All right, let's take a 5-minute break before we get on to the budget.
Budget's budget.
Budget's.
Thank you, Pat.
Yes.
To finish a project, to finish a school project.
School project.
Yeah, so. No. I signed up for it, Sierra. Here.
An acknowledgement.
Thanks, John.
Brett from Grosse Point City.
What about? Oh, I didn't.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
It's
Very nice.
I don't see how he's gonna make money.
Oh,
This thing, like, type situation. Sit down and get a lunch or whatever.
we have to wait until this.
Already proud.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I'm all for it. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Exciting.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, this is a going concern.
Yeah.
So I'm for all that, but we need to regulate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
I'm just gonna say, oh, we've got these people coming and put chairs. Oh, no, put chairs. Put a little menu
Well,
up.
it's a high top, but now it's a high top chair.
Yeah. Oh, now we're gonna put in a little pizza menu. How about pizza? No, I don't.
a lot of people.
Let me go buy a bottle of wine and open it up and have a glass of wine
Bring
too.
it out. Hey, honestly.
Right.
I am. Oh, yeah. What?
Right?
When you mentioned that in your report. Yeah, that's driving up and letting go. Well, he said it's. Some of that try after the 8. In order. Has 3 RV.
Yeah, I have a little break here, but we're still in session, so I'll call you, how much longer do you think we got? Jane, how much longer do you think we have?
Pardon?
How much longer do we have, you think?
Another 45 minutes to an hour.
Wow, all right, it might be, all right? Talk to you later.
Maybe
Great, maybe half hour. I think, they're not, a PowerPoint presentation of a bunch of. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Something to be so, walking down and just cut off skin. I got any notes on the spread for hours, let me know.
Okay, and the budget.
Pardon me?
Anything else?
No.
There's no, regulation.
Andy will have some questions. Who's the guy with the, yeah, on the, yellow pad? That guy. That's Will. I never seen him before.
My experience, I mean, I think like.
It's turned out to be.
Yeah, very.
I need you.
Yeah.
It was a chilling.
The newspaper. And go.
So there's a lot of baggage there. I know. He wasn't gonna run if anybody else ran, but he didn't want to go through the scrutiny of, campaign. He waited and put his application in the last day. And nobody else came in, so there was only 3. So they've been a 4th one. Out on Friday. Didn't want to go through the situation. I think it's a bad move. I don't, but it's unopposed, so what are you gonna do?
Mr. Mayor, Martin Gibbs, pretty like in air conditioning.
When did I?
He haven't turned it on.
Well, I think, I don't know, I.
Probably not.
transition where it was, they changed it over, I thought it would change over.
Yeah.
We should at least open up the windows. And his wife, had a major interest.
Everybody was mad, well, not everybody, but growing up.
Didn't really get into this.
What is the first thing he did was cut up the agreement.
Okay. Back in session. All right, our next, 1, 2, 3 items have to do with our budget and other things around our budget. Tim has promised that the presentation will be brief based on the fact that we reviewed the budget to place it on the agenda for today. And while he has put together a phenomenal PowerPoint for us, he's gonna jump to the end and what we're voting on, he'll summarize that. So, sir, the floor is yours, Mr. Rowland.
So what we're going to offer is the mill and rates you see on the slide in there. Our overall mill rate will increase by 20 mills to the addition of the food separation bond sale and senior service. This is our overall budget. So the overall budget is increasing by $519,000 to $20.5 million. It's balanced budget, we're budgeting for use of $200,000 in fund balance. We're going to get some cash. Fund balance is about 27.4% at the end of the current fiscal year. By the June meeting, I'm looking to recommend that any surplus in this current year be allocated to the capital projects fund for the project.
You talk to the library folks and see how they get theirs higher, just wondering. Sorry, my truth Tourette's came out.
If no application get what I'll put the far line in the my program that he wants to look at. Capital projects. In partners. About $3.3 million in road repair projects. Continuing the water retention costs with additional contributions of $50,000 for their OPEB costs and $400,000 for their property. So that's the really super brief version. Anything else we talk about, let me know.
What does that bring our OPEB percentage up to approximately? We're still in the 70s somewhere,
No, we're higher than that.
hence why the smaller contribution.
Yes, our healthcare for police department is at 89% and general is at 78%.
Fantastic. All right, any questions on, this is item 7, so millage rates or budget items? Yes,
I'd like to make a couple of comments.
yes, Chairman, please.
Well, Tim and Shane, you have continued the streak of excellent, budgeting in our town, and I think it's terrific. One thing that popped up at me is our taxable value in our town is over $1 billion. $1 billion taxable, that's our tax base. $1 billion, that's really something else. I don't know how that would be an interesting kind of thing to find out if we could look at similar sized cities around the state. Per capita, are we at number 1, are we number 10, whatever? I have to think that we're one of the highest per capita, right? Our taxable value per capita. Second thing is that we road millage, right? Did you say that we renewed the road millage too? So that's another 5, 6, 2. And I'm interested, there was, I don't know, that's really what I wanted. I wanted to say how great our assessed values have gone up, taxable values gone up. So we're in really good shape, budget wise, and I think it's a tribute to you and to Derek and to Shane and the administration that we're doing a very good job conservatively budgeting for the future. So congratulations to everybody on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe?
Tim, if you could go back into the road area, where are we allocating for sidewalks? It's one of my pet peeves, and we all have friends that are falling and breaking arms and whatever, and I know we have 50,000, but we're,
So our capital project's gonna be $200,000 budgeted for the fence for the scattered sidewalk repairs to the strip hazards. It's also $211,000 as part of the road replacement program, it's the sidewalks.
with the roads.
We do have some additional contingency too, if we need to, and I think as I've mentioned, I think to you and others, is we really have been accelerating our sidewalk replacement. I know we probably have done, so far this spring, about 250 slabs and continue to, to really work on, covering the whole city.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Galuli?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's nice to see that with your forecast and the good work of you and the administration, that we're going to remain the lowest village rate of all the gross points in many other communities. It's absolutely fantastic for the services that our citizens. Oh, and that's a loss.
All right.
Any more? Well,
We're going to be the lowest mill rate anymore.
so,
Peanuts.
we're gonna be, but
Gross Point City, it looks like it's on their proposed budget, they're not liking a sewer village that they got before last year.
Yeah, they're holding off because because of the FEMA funding. That was used as partly of a match that hasn't come through yet.
Oh,
So
it's just a
the delay.
ploy to steal it from us.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Spoiled again, yeah.
Well, actually, that means we are the one. Look at it.
Yeah, they're just.
They have to count that a lot.
One day levy.
When they levy it, it will be the lowest.
Very close.
All right. Questions, Mr. Durbin?
And it feels six, just two quick ones. What is debt non-voting? Never seen that term before. What is that? Non-voting debt? That's a result of a legal settlement.
So it's not voted by the general public, but, and it's debt is levied to either resolve a lawsuit or other claim. The sewer case from years ago.
And those two new assessments, the separation, that's the first part separation in the, see, that we on December or Somerville. Somerville, France.
October or Somerville.
Summer.
Now, next,
See, next to the CHI.
this year.
This summer bill. Yeah, sorry. Anybody else in the public? See no further questions in public. Public comment is closed. What's the pleasure of council? Chairman Wood, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like recommendation of the city administration that city council approve the proposed tax mill and rates and the budget as summarized in Tim Rowland's May 12th, 2025 memo.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, consideration of a request to approve water and sewer rates for fiscal year ending June 30, 2026. Mr. Rowland.
We have an overall increase of 4% in our repair line and sewer rates. Primarily due to a 5.78% sewage charge increase passed off of Bailey's Water Authority. Rates that which people on water improvement, water very low rate, and the sewer gas is 1.8%. 1.9%, average of 2.4%. So rates that people
Side.
Bailey's Water Authority water customers are getting 7.3% increase. So significantly below what water or city drugs. Significant capital improvements, $2 million in water main, $250,000 for sewer lining, $300,000 for catch basins and lead service lines, and contracts on for separated project.
Okay, any questions? See no questions from council.
Let me make a couple.
Sure, go ahead, Chairman, sir.
Tim, could you advance the slide? So this slide is really important for everybody to see. Water consumption is critical for us to get our revenue. That's kind of an obvious thing to say, but you can see the trend, and I'm sorry, what's the, what is it, 2020? 2011 is when it started?
Yeah.
So far, we're going down and down and down. So this represents not an existential problem, but it represents a problem because we need to estimate what we're going to be charging for the volume for next year, and then that sets our rate. So we've done that already. But I just want people to see that water conservation is wonderful for homeowners because it saves you money, but it's not so wonderful for the city because we have to raise our rates because we need the money to come in from the consumption. So.
Just to add on to that, the thing that people need to understand is we have essentially fixed costs for all of the maintenance of them. So when you consume less, it costs more on a base level. That's why the rates go up, even though you're using less.
Yep.
Actually, what
Anything else from council? Public, any comments, questions? Mr. Dur? No, you're good.
I feel suspicious. You know, this is kind of hard to understand. What is the percent, what is the $2 pay number each year? Is that a percentage on basically increase with the flat rates?
And a flat rate is 4%.
4%. Well, how about the variable rates?
So on the water improvement, on the water variable rates, 1.8%, water improvement is 1.9%. And the sewage improvement is 7.3%. That's directly tied to what's done.
Oh,
We had a bond for sewage back in 2015.
oh, okay. Like these numbers here, they talk about the water. What is that was talking about these numbers right here, on this page right here.
So that page is, that's the comparison of the rates from last year to this year.
Okay.
Okay. And the amount that they can. There you go.
Anybody else from the public have any questions? And just so everybody knows, all of this is online, so we can get to the budget and you can see what's there. All
Mr. Mayor,
right, what's the pleasure? Oh, go ahead.
Also, if this is an excellent tool, take a look at everything about budget that Tim gave to us and made that. And it's outstanding as far as how it's presented, how it's explained. So for anyone that had any questions about our city budget, this is just excellent. Thank you.
All right, what's the pleasure of council?
I'll do a motion. Motion to approve proposed water and sewer rate schedule. To become effective for all bills rendered after July 1st, 2025, which includes an increase of $4.58 per 1,000 cubic feet of actual metered water use and an increase of $2.43 per billing rate and rate charge for service as described in the memo from Jim Rowland on May 12th, 2025.
Support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And last item for Tim is consideration of a request to approve recycling rates for fiscal year ending June 30, 2026.
This is the easy one with no change in their recycling rate, remaining at $12. We have 1 year rule left on our recycling contract.
Council and public comment closed. Andy, any questions? Good, thank you. All right, that's what I thought. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes. I make a motion to approve residential recycling rate, $12 per bi-monthly billing cycle per household for all bills rendered after July 1st, 2025.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Again, I'll just double down on what John and Lev said. Great job, guys. Every year, just kill it. It makes this process so much easier, very trustworthy in all the numbers, all the analysis you guys do. Thank you to the department heads for keeping their budgets in line and working on your 5-year capital plans to make sure that when our capital comes due, we have the money available to buy the things that you guys need to run your department. So thank you very much. All right, so item number 10, consideration of a request to approve the Tonnecourt Place Water Main Project. Is that better?
I'll take it, just briefly. Last meeting, city council approved contract 1 Division A, which was the first phase of the sewer separation, sewer improvement program. And, as part of that bid, when we bid that item, we also included Division B, which was, replacing the water main on Tonnecourt from Kirchhoff to Lakeshore Road. It's an older main, subject to frequent breaks. So we thought it made sense to price that out when we were going to be putting a major sewer line down Tonnecourt and have that disruption from construction do it at the same time. So we did get a bid from Deponio Contracting as part of that the proposal that was presented last month. We want to take some additional time to do all the reference checks. HRC has done that, and they are recommending the award of Division B of that contract in the amount of $835.20. $835,020. And that would be financed separately, not through the sewer project, which is a bond project, but would be funded out of our water sewer fund as our part of our water main replacement program. So seeking approval for the award of that bid.
Questions from council?
I just noticed it was on the website, questions regarding the Tonnecourt project tonight. I think it's very well done. Thank you.
We had a meeting with neighbors, and it's a major project. It's going to be very disruptive, but I think people understand the scope of it and have been very cooperative in our discussions.
Any questions from the public? Come on up.
Sorry,
Good patience.
early morning, next to late, sorry. I'm Rick Cargados, 36 Edgemere. You're all here because your number one goal is to protect and look out for the family's Grosse Pointe. I'm not here to ask for variance or anything for personal gains, as much as I've had 39 years of dealing with hematology and oncology business, okay? I have 9 cancer centers. We see an average of 135 to 140 chemo patients per day at 9 centers in just Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County. Every day I ask my question, where are all these cancer patients coming from? It's just random. It's not on the news, but it's out there. I am real pleased. I understand that we need the water separation situation, but I was a little troubled to hear that one of the ideas are looking to cut costs, which I appreciate as a taxpayer, is to cut through the country club. It makes sense to me. What I have a difficult time is we all know the statistics on pesticides and fertilizers. When we're taking a country club that uses a lot of chemicals to keep their greens beautiful and pretty, they usually absorb into the dirt and it filters it naturally. But if we're going to take the runoff from that so they can play right after a rainstorm and dump it directly into Lake St. Clair, not far from our water intake valve, but where you have boats you see every weekend lined up and people swimming and using the lake, which is what we love and want. But it's not far off. It all holds in, will hold in right where the cutoff is by Tonnecourt and where the water valve, everything that flows from there, because the water goes from the east to the west, go right by the intake valve for our water that our families are going to be drinking. And I just am a little concerned that we really haven't done our due diligence on, is this going to harm us in the future, our kids, our families, by having this exposure to I'd say the number one concern is the country club of that runoff that they produce more than the average household. And are we going to have like a holding tank or a filtration system to kind of protect us from those chemicals? Because we won't find out until 5, 6, 7 years later after the project's completed. Well, we kind of owe it to our city to look out for them, to make sure that they're safe, that their drinking is safe, that where the swimming is safe. And I'm not sure, I'm coming to this new, but how much do we
homework we've done on dumping all that raw chemical right into the lakes.
I guess I can initially respond because I know, I think we've had, you brought that issue up in the past. And we have had conversations with our engineer and with folks at Country Club of Detroit who do a lot of the maintenance. Actually, I would argue that golf course, unlike a residential home, actually uses a lot less chemical fertilizer. The amount of regulation, how they do it, constantly testing the soil, so they're not adding additional phosphorus, other chemicals to that lawn, not needed. It's actually becomes less of a contributor because of the monitoring and what they use.
Are we running, excuse
and-
me, are we running by the EPA or anything?
Yeah, all these, so we will, all this process does go through a permit requirement through EPA, also with Wayne County Department of Public Health. So, those are things, we were concerned with as well. We share the same concern because we're all drinking the same water and, we can go into further details, but I can give you some of the information that I've been
I
providing.
just want to, I'm not saying kill the project, I just want to make sure we're really doing our homework so we're producing safe
Yeah.
water.
What we're helping to prevent too, and what we've done by doing the sewer separation project is by taking away the combined system, taking storm out of the combined system, you're also reducing the likelihood of combined sewer overflows, where you actually have combined sewage that goes into Lake St. Clair, which obviously there's a host of other issues, which we've been very proactive about dealing with, where some of our neighboring communities in Macomb County still have a lot more to do. So that is at our forefront, is making sure that what we're doing is ultimately going to be in the best interest of our residents.
I think the new play in this is the country club. And so I think we've never had that before. And I'm not really convinced that country clubs are all
Well,
friendly.
about a third of their course is already in the separated source system right now.
Yeah.
It's on the other side of Ridge, so that runoff from about a third of the course already goes into the lake. And we're hoping with the deal, what we've arranged with them with the new water line and everything, it'll be less fertilizer, less watering, and actually hopefully less water that they're creating that runs off, aside from the rain, which we can't control. But they're hoping to water fewer times and faster. They're spending $7 million on a new irrigation system to get water quicker and less out there. So,
Well, I trust that you get to the best.
Yeah.
Just.
just a bit of information. That's all. Yeah. So it's a whole plan to see how that we can reduce water totally used. And then Mr. Wood will be upset because then that takes the usage even down more. But yeah, so we'll keep monitoring it. When we hear from the EPA and the county, we'll know.
It's worth noting, just yesterday, the Journal of American Medicine came out with a study that said that people that live within, I think, 3 miles of a golf course have a 50% greater chance of developing Parkinson's over their lifetime. This is not something that a municipality can solve. It's one of the ways in which, we are not an island, and we need federal authorities actually looking into and worrying about the safety of all of our water. And so I have full faith that everyone on this council cares deeply about this issue. And also, we have to look up to the authorities at the county, at the state, and at the federal level to make sure we're going to follow the rules. And we have to trust, and we have to, frankly, compel the people above us to make sure they're doing a good job on all of our paths, because that study was very concerning. But there's nothing that we are going to be able to do about it, because as the mayor said, that water's already going into our lake right now. The question is, can we fix the problem of the sewer separation issues?
It's other cities have taken the thing of just dumping raw sewage in without even spraying it with chlorine on an emergency basis. Don't want to get there because then it's got both. You know what I say? But we'll check the water. So you'll know what it is. We'll
Okay,
check.
great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Anybody else in the public? All right, public comment is closed. What's the pleasure of council? Anybody got a motion to approve the?
I will make that motion.
Go ahead, Lev.
When all else fails, just, call on Lev.
Okay.
I'll do something.
All right, thank you, sir.
Bill will correct me, I'm sure.
No.
My motion is to approve the city's engineering consultant recommendation to award Division D sewer separation contract number one. to Ponio Contracting LLC with a total construction of $835,020.
For your support?
Sport.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, consider, whoops, yes.
Can I make a comment about this report and some other?
Which one? You're holding up a piece of paper. I can't see it.
The Tonacor water main replacement. It's really a comment about Matt.
Sure, go ahead.
I need to say this. Matt, at every city council meeting, your name comes up because you have to prepare a report. And as Councilman Joe Ritchie always says, it's a lot of moving parts. So I just wanted to take the time to recognize you, recognize the police department, Mr. Rowland, just to say thank you for the job that you do in having to review voluminous reports day in, day out, and for trying to at least hold applicants accountable when they come to you for a variance. Because one of the things I learned when they're applying for a variance is Matt can say, this is what you need to do, and this is why you need to do it. And they may not always listen to him, so that when they come before us, we don't really, at times, have the accurate information. So I appreciate our city council saying, let's slow down a minute. What's really going on here? What are you requesting? As we said, saw this evening, the practical difficulty. So Matt, kudos to you. And if you have a staff, your staff. And I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well said. Now, item 11, consideration of a request to approve Pier Park Pickleball Court Enhancement Project. Mr. Riesel?
Hey, in your packet is should be a rendering. And everyone is familiar. We looked at this in many iterations a couple of years ago when we were looking at expanding pickleball. The program has been extremely successful. I can tell you, our reservations have gone up dramatically and have had great use. At our last foundation meeting, it was recommended by the foundation that we look at a couple of tweaks and enhancements to the existing courts. And one of the things that was noted is that when people enter the courts currently, they're entering from the tennis court side, kind of coming through the tennis court area to get access to the pickleball courts, which causes some disruption to the users of the tennis courts. So the idea is twofold. One is to really establish a more formal entrance to the pickleball courts from the east side of the courts. Currently, this is a 5-foot walk that's being proposed. Let's typically do it with a sidewalk. And this would allow you to enter the courts at the existing gates and not have to traverse through wet grass to get to the courts from that side. And we think by doing that, creating a couple of areas where people can view the games, drop off water bottles or racket material with a couple of benches and a pergola 10 feet by 20 feet with a couple of tables to sit would be a nice enhancement. And so we worked with Chris Metz, the original designer of the plan. They came up with this plan. They also added at the foundation's request of adding another entrance. You don't want to walk around to the courts. You could enter courts 1 and 2 from directly from the carway. And again, more access and pulling people away from the tennis court area. So we brought out for bid. The whole bid came from Backer Landscaping at a total cost of $44,100. And if this project is approved, the funds would be matched. Half the cost would be paid for by the Grosse Pointe Farms Foundation.
Beth?
No, I have no. Well, I mean, I've got a couple of quirks, as far as, but everyone's gonna have their own picks and, on where they think the right access should be, but, the 44,000 doesn't really bother me, it's half is donated. It's the process that, I'm not quite, comfortable with. We have a Parks Recreation Committee. We're having a meeting tomorrow night. They don't know about this. So why are we having a committee if the foundation can trump them and leapfrog and go ahead and we approve it tonight? Again, I don't have any problem with the proposal as it is. But the process seems to me to be awkward at best, and that's a polite way of putting it.
Well, I think, yeah, and it can delay. I think what the thought was, because when the last meeting of the foundation was held was subsequent to the last Parks and Harbor Committee. So the thought is if there was a window to get it in this construction schedule, to have this in place by Memorial Day of this year. If we put it on the agenda this month, if we wait to next month, we would not be able to get into the spring, which is fine. We could delay it, I guess would be one option. The other option I think what we would have is that House could approve it tonight contingent upon the review. And I was going to mention that earlier, a review by the Parks and Harbor Committee at tomorrow's meeting. Another day is not, I don't think we'll whack up their schedule and would give the committee, an opportunity.
I would support that line of thing, because otherwise
And
you're
again,
you're slighting the committee.
Chair?
very good.
No, thank you. I mentioned that to Mr. Reese during a call the other day that I heard from at least two members. Parks and Harbor Committee felt a little slighted, to tell you the truth, about not being made aware of this project. They believe they're in support of it, but like the pool committee and the others, sometimes some very, very good ideas come from our residents who volunteer an awful lot of their time to hear about the new park pass system or the pickleball courts or other events. It seems like two instances we've sort of bypassed them. I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Wilberding. I'd like to see it approved.
Do we have a rendering of the pergola?
I have one, but it's not here. I don't have it on this PowerPoint. It actually was, Chris Metz had picked it out. So they had, it would be white, and it's, they're recommending going with a fiberglass opposed to the vinyl. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's going to look a little bit more hardy and so I do, we do have that. We'll push it as well.
Joe?
Again, I apologize for slighting the Parks and Harbor. I actually thought I thought they did get a visual of this at a prior meeting, and so.
Yeah, but this is the second time it's happened.
Well, in all honesty, though, that Parks and Harbor has been pretty much behind the scenes for the last 10 years, other than now the pool is coming up and the bathhouse and everything. But I've been to every foundation meeting for the last 10 years and nobody has come from the Harbor Committee to say hi. I don't think they even know.
All the foundation that Parks and Harbor Committee.
Who?
You've got,
Who?
Numbers, hold on.
All
wow.
right, let's not debate this
Yeah.
right now. Okay, but. So,
I've been at every Parks and Harbor Committee meeting, save one, for the last 7 years, Joe. And we are not acting behind the scenes. We have been very, very instrumental in certain things. We improved communication with regard to swim teams. We worked on staffing issues. We've worked on a lot more than the pool, quite frankly, sir. You're wrong. You're dead wrong. Don't slight us, please, for the sake. You're not sponsoring events that are like you're playing. Stop.
Right. Here's the problem, Joe. Are you not gonna understand your feelings? Here's the problem with this. I've only been on it for 2 years. I have a boat down there.
All the time,
Talk
yes.
about the harbor. We have
Yes.
changed things at the harbor.
Yes,
We have changed things as far as some different suggestions on how we're gonna do our park pass.
right.
We've had some really valuable input. I mean, we have one member that, she's a city planner. So, I mean, we have some really good input with that. Most of all, here's something that, people our age don't get, that we can get from that committee. They have kids that want to enjoy the park and how they want to enjoy it with the swim team and how they want to do it and who they want as a coach that will be a mentor and someone that will be fair. And, you know, all these things have really been able to manifest themselves into all improved services. That came from the Parks and Recreation Committee. And I can tell you 100%, the improvements on the harbor came from the committee.
I don't
Your-
question that at all. I'm talking about the projects that the foundation has donated to and worked on.
Which is greatly appreciated.
Okay,
Yeah.
every one of them, and nobody from the Parks and Harbor have been there.
First of all, I'm.
Okay, guys, stop. Listen, what's at issue right now is the agenda item. If
Will,
is there a motion to approve this project contingent on a positive vote tomorrow evening from the Parks and Harbor Committee? And the administration will show the renderings of the pergola that we're not seeing, but you'll send us tomorrow morning so the council can see.
Point of information, it's actually, I believe it's Wednesday.
Or Wednesday, sorry, Wednesday, yes.
It was, because I can't be there. so.
Okay, Wednesday. So do I have such a motion to award it to Becker for $44,000?
I can't
Wednesday.
be there Wednesday. When did they change that?
Oh, the meeting's tomorrow at 7 PM.
Yeah.
And at the same time as the pollinators.
Oh, that's the problem.
Okay, so do I have a motion to award this contract to Becker for no more than $44,100 with half the cost coming from the foundation, subject to the Parks and Harbor Committee approving it at its meeting tomorrow evening at 7 PM?
I'll make that motion.
Just say, all right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item. Consideration of a request to approve the purchase of real property located at 18780 Mac Avenue. Mr. Reside.
Yes. So this is an item that council is aware of because it's been a topic of closed session discussion regarding the acquisition of real estate. And it's really a discussion that's gone on for administration and the owners of the property at 18780 Mac Avenue for a number of years. That area, as you know, between Kirby Road and Ross Road is zoned community service. It was rezoned shortly after the city acquired much of the commercial real estate of the old Sears and Kroger property. And so there's always been an interest by the city in that property. In fact, the prior owner had agreed to a hold harmless or a right of first refusal with the city if the property ever became available. The property has become available. It took a little time because of state matters, and we have gotten an offer from Mac Avenue LLC to purchase that property at a total cost of $795,000, which is below the city's assessed value in our assessment roll, which is $890,200. Looking at recent land sales, and building sales, the price per square foot is very competitive for the building, which is 5,743 square feet. It is the city's recommendation that council consider purchasing this property. In terms of use, there are several uses potential uses that are currently being explored for this property. At the very least, it could be used for much needed storage space for our Department of Public Works, which is really bursting at the seams at their current location.
Right, any questions from council?
Just had a quick, could you remind us just how much is in the capital projects fund roughly?
So we had set aside, actually some time ago, I think it was 500 or 600,000. And we tentatively, so this is, a little bit more than we had originally thought, but those dollars are available in capital projects. I think we're very comfortable with the use of those funds.
Anybody else on council with questions?
Shane, is it possible that dispatch would be moved there? Did you say that? Did I miss that?
You know, there's a lot of different possibilities. I think central dispatch or joint dispatch with the Grosse Points is something that has been discussed as a potential use. In fact, the city managers have been working currently with AEW engineering firm just to see logistically what would be needed. Number of councils, number of workstations, and so forth. If a joint dispatch were something that there was interest in pursuing.
All right, any other questions from council? Anybody in the public have any questions? Mr. Durham?
And your suspicion. You answered some of my questions. Yes, we had my sort of first life for Shane. Thank you. How much money is in our capital project fund? Just wondering.
So at the end of the last fiscal year, we had $3,900,000 in it.
About 20% of that. My concern was that. What else would be done with that money for these places? There's a lot of needs in the city. That's my concern. Maybe the storage to buy this.
Yeah, and so we do have an active 5-year capital projects plan that the Budget Audit Committee reviews annually. And so we feel that we're able to meet that plan with the dollars. We have, again, there's sometimes we had other projects that we had intended on that, haven't gone through. And so there, over the years, we've shifted dollars where we feel they best can be used. And this is a case where we made it available.
Yeah, pigeonhole some money, it wasn't like it was. One of my concerns is that this is a significant piece of property, losing a lot of money from just taking public property private, so now losing revenue from property taxes. How much are you losing property taxes?
Yeah, I did look at that number. It's, the city itself, because, that goes obviously to the school systems, counties and so forth. I think the city's portion was approximately $15,000.
That's a lot of money here. So it's going to be sure that cost all of us. It's from the city speaks. That's what I was concerned about. Thank you.
Right, anybody else in the public have any questions? All right, public comment is closed. What's the pleasure of council?
I'll have a motion. I'll give you
All
a
right.
break.
All right, Mr. Soroka.
I motion that we approve the purchase of 18780 Mac Avenue from the Mac Shop LLC in the amount of $795,000 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the purchase agreement as drafted by the city attorney.
Subject to any changes in the purchase agreement and the related deed as approved by the city manager and the city attorney. I say that, Neil, because we're on the second round of.
I appreciate that, council.
All right. With that amendment, do I have support?
Or
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, consent agenda. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda for individual consideration?
I do.
Which item?
Item A.
So you know that's just to set the public hearing, not to discuss the merits.
Oh, it's okay.
Yes.
So-
Move that then.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. All right,
Move to approve the consent agenda.
thank you.
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. You have the reports from the quarterly financials ending March 31 and the public safety report. Other business, Mr. Reside.
I don't have any other business.
Anybody else on council have other business?
I have two business to discuss, if I could.
You may, sir.
And I'd like to introduce the topic of regulating crypto virtual currency machines. This is a kind of an interesting thing. And if you'll beg me for just a second, I want to go through a couple of items that I found here, but just kind of the start this off. Andy Rogers in his weekly discussion of what the department has been doing back on March 21st, and I've got this thing here, he described a caller, a gentleman or resident who, was tricked into depositing $20,000 worth of Bitcoin into a machine located at, this exact location right here on St. Clair Shores of the Buffalo Wild Wings. Andy went on to say that it was a bad thing. The guy had to put money in it at $100 increments at the same time, which I think would maybe have given most people kind of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. Why am I doing this? But he went ahead and did it, and he lost his money. Andy went ahead and said, toward the end, he made an opinion. He said, I would like, and Sierra and I both picked up on this. I think maybe some of the other guys did, but I would like to see, Andy said, I would like to see all Bitcoin machines removed. Lately, their primary purpose has been facilitating untraceable money transfers for scammers and victims. It's very frustrating and sad. Okay, so that's the first thing that I'd like to mention. Then, not too shortly after that, on April 9th, I found out that Senator Dick Durbin, senator from Illinois, has actually introduced legislation that is similar in this nature to regulate the owners of the ATMs, as they call them, these ATMs. Where that stands now in the Congress and the Senate, I have no idea. And then the day after that, Attorney General Nessel issued a new consumer warning concerning warning residents about scammers using these ATMs to defraud unsuspecting victims. In her statement, she said, because money sent through Bitcoin ATMs is nearly impossible to recover, and these machines lack oversight and regulation, they have become an attractive option for bad guys engaged in fraud and money laundering, targeting older adults. Well, it's older. It's not necessarily older adults because several days later, on April 17th, Susan Tompour wrote in the Detroit Free Press about a young lady who, got scammed, got a phone call, and now she's out. Well, let me see. One simple phone call set off a scheme that ultimately enabled someone to steal her entire income tax refund and drain her savings account at a local credit union. Now she's out $17,500. All right. So that kind of sets the stage for the problem, right? So we know the problem. We have a solution. Sierra and I talked to, over a period, a couple of days, talked to both Bill and also to Shane to see what we could do maybe in our city to do something about this, to follow what Andy had said. Shane got a hold of some folks at the municipal MML and asked them if there is a model ordinance in the state of Michigan where other cities or counties had implemented this kind of a regulation on the owners of these ATMs. It turns out no. They did, however, come up with a regulation from somewhere, I think, in Nebraska. And we also had the Durbin situation to look at too. So Bill went ahead and drafted a draft ordinance, which is right here, and in the draft ordinance, among other things, says that the individual owners of these machines have got to register such machine with the Department of Public Safety, number one. Number two, if somebody wants to bring one of these items into one of these ATMs into the city, they have to obtain a business license, which there's a fee for that. Number three, there's got to be a customer service helpline that's been staffed by trained and responsible natural persons employed or on behalf of the operator. Bill's thing, it goes on to say you have to disclose to the customer all sorts of things like the amount of any fees related to the transaction. Transactions are final. Consumer fraud warning has to be published. A telephone number for the customer service line has to be there. also you get receipts so that it's more of a transparent kind of a interaction with the machine and the person who's putting the money in or the bitcoins or whatever. And finally, virtual currency machines shall not process any transactions greater than $1,000 during a 24-hour period, which would have saved this poor gentleman all that effort and all that money, nor more than $5,000 during a 14-day period. And then there's a penalty here for any ATM owner that doesn't do this. So by bringing this to you all, my goal is to ask administration, make a motion. You have to have a vote to ask the administration to put a public to put on the June agenda public hearing that we will discuss this. All of us will have a copy of the draft that Bill puts together, and then members of the public and we all can debate the merits of this and whether or not we're going to pass this. If we do, we'll be the first in the entire state, which is something very unusual. And if we do that further, you might say, oh, big deal, farms, it's just our city, we're going to have this regulation. But maybe then we can get St. Clair Shores to do the same thing, or we can get East Point, or we can get, all the other gross points. So we'll have a regional approach to this problem so that some of our residents will be, they'll be inconvenienced to kind of get ripped off. Some of the people who are really smart about crypto will know all this stuff. It's going to be just fine. They won't have a problem. The owners are just going to be impacted by some of these regulations. They're going to have to put the stuff up for more transparency. So that's what I wanted to bring up.
So, not unlike the Parks and Harbor Committee, we do have an ordinance committee, which I'm not sure has even seen this. So to put it on for a public hearing, before the ordinance committee has had a chance to read it or consult with Mr. Burgess might be premature.
All right.
So what I think we should do is get it to Mr. Galuli and the committee, let them work with Bill to look at different, especially since John represents about 30 other municipalities, which could join in this effort. Then perhaps we do it that way so we don't run into the same thing we just had the Parks and Harbor.
Just another point of information. In a latter article, I think it was in Bridge rather than the Free Press of the News, but you have a number of different municipalities, local municipalities who are proposing bans on cryptocurrency ATMs. And that's ongoing, and that is a state issue.
All right, so let's
Wait,
go ahead. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Honorable Mayor, I have a couple of comments.
Sure.
So when we first, when I first read the Department of Public Safety's report, reporting this to us, I became alarmed for this reason. When law enforcement says we have an issue, we must pay attention, we must support them, and we must act on it. I immediately reached out to Bill and asked about a complete ban. Expertly said, let's hold on a minute. Senator Durbin has a bill, so I appreciate you already knowing that bill is in Congress right now, waiting to be passed. Well, hopefully it will be passed. Our citizens are, especially our seniors, are very vulnerable. And in the minimal research that I did, this is a nationwide problem. But one of the things that Senator Durbin wrote in his bill was this. This will give law enforcement new tools to track down and fight back against criminals. So I hope the ordinance committee, are in favor of this. And at least we can do something and not do nothing.
Great. And thank you, Sarah and Lev and Andy to bringing this up and urging action. And I'm glad two of our council members took that bull by the horn, and we'll see what we can do with it. Neil?
Yeah, and I want to echo the thanks. I appreciate both of you for looking at it as well as Mr. Burgess. And I just wanted to say that I would support an outright ban. And if we're concerned about whether or not that would hold up in court, you could have these restrictions as part of the severability language, correct, right? So we could ban it and then also say, if it doesn't hold up, then we're gonna have these restrictions. One suggestion I would have too is when it comes to customer service, requiring to have them have representatives in the state. So that those individuals would.
I would say,
Subject.
I would say the US.
Or you know,
Yeah.
but even the point is like actually have local consumer protection.
Yeah.
And last thought, Shane went a step further and reached out to Michigan Municipal League. And they were very grateful that, he reached out to them. Shane provided their response, and Shane will follow up with them to let them know what we're doing. So thank you, Shane, for doing this follow-up.
Public policy meeting for the MML this Friday. I'm on that committee.
Perfect.
On his docket, believe it or not, this is on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It's a very important issue, and
Yes.
legal crypto trading can happen online. These machines are not needed.
Right.
Right?
But I just don't hesitate, and Bill, you could tell, do you think that a actual ban on these ATMs would actually work, or is it more likely to be that we would as you have written?
I'm gonna
already?
politely call the question out of order because it asks for legal advice in an open
I'm,
session.
I'm not gonna. Well, I'm not gonna answer that question directly in a second. But I will say, the regulatory approach is the better approach at present.
And one last thing, tomorrow, the Beautification Advisory Commission is hosting their annual spring seminar. And we voted on B's in the D. And we are very excited because they're gonna do a presentation on pollinators. I absolutely love bees now. And Shane, could you tell us a little bit about your connection to bees in the D? Your family, your son.
Just my son is involved with Bees and Bees. Been involved for a long time and knows the founders, and it's been a great organization. They put hives throughout the Metro Detroit area. They sell the honey. They make honey. They give it to a distillery in Detroit to make honey bourbon. They do, and it's
Now we're
it's a
talking.
great-
All right.
it's a great
Hey, look,
so-
I wasn't listening to honey until you said honey and liquor. All right.
Maybe if we can get good attendance, we'll do shots of honey bourbon or something.
And it's tomorrow at 7 at Pier Park. And we requested that they bring some honey as well for sale. So,
They can come collect the bees by my
Spring seminar.
lilac bushes.
Mr. Mayor, our spring seminar is growing. We're
Also,
very pleased. How many people did we have last year, Barry?
50. Wow. All right.
Yep.
Anybody else on council with other business? I have a request.
Oh, for adjournment.
No, sorry. I'd like to move the June meeting till the 16th and the August meeting till the 18th.
August is the 18th.
Oh, it is the 18th already?
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I was right here. So, sorry, the June meeting to the 16th instead of the 9th. I'm gonna be in Greece. I'll be at a wedding
June meeting for what, Louis?
from the 9th to the 16th.
The August meeting to what?
No, it's already the 18th. It's already the 18th. July's all yours, Beth. August is ready the 18th. So June the 16th work, we're good? All right. Any business from the public?
Legacy and Lincoln.
Oh,
Oh, no, it's not.
No, no.
June 18th?
16th.
16th.
You're getting confused. We said August 18, June 16. We were 18th in the August is already our meeting.
Stay away from those Bitcoin machines.
So, yeah.
something fast.
Anything in the public? Seeing none? Adjourned.